shepherd us like little lambs, trust in your protection. Yeah, how we are all our faith in your provision. No longer put our trust in evil world system. Citizens of a whole different greater kingdom. My wife gave me citizen watch, so I remember. Time is close, he can come back now any day. I suggest you stay ready like Uncle Chopper say. Forsake all and trust him like my pops Marty. Construction building like new gems, word of foot profit. Catch me on foot with this gospel like my brother JJ3, MOG, KD, my brothers.
I could be better than that, you could be better than that. We could be making the stacks, we could be taking the wrecks. You should be better than that. You should be better than that. You should be better than that. I could be better than that. You could be better than that. We could be making the
Hello.
Oh, I bet you did. Last week.
Check. 1, 2. 1, 2.
Yeah, I can definitely hear them.
Cloud Crew 417. I'm ran somewhere that the children of Israel, when they escaped Egypt, they were led through the wilderness by a cloud during the day, cloud of fire by night. Something about that hit me, just made me feel right. Now you know, cloudy day. Just made it to the last page in my notebook. Hope I don't run out of lines for the hook. Come back, Jesus coming back, back to back, like the Lakers when they had Shaq. Team winning every year, all glory to Yah. Just a holy crew serving food, that's all Jah. Let me feed my sheep what I heard from the Lord. So I cook it up with a little spice of salt. Let them know to the serve, we are the salt. Nothing going down without clearance from my God. Gotta serve so great, that's why I'm screaming Yah. Yah, 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 Yah. Yahweh to Zabah, yeah, that's my God. Said he made this world, everything is not out of this world. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. Sun shining bright, still exciting day. Got the crew with me, can't give them praise. Every year I hear like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. Every year I hear like the Rose Parade. Sun shining bright, can't give them praise. Every year I hear like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. 16 bars, 15 left. Time to talk about my God. He the king, he the God, boss of the squad. He the king, he the God, boss of the squad. Had to say it twice, had to worship, show him love. That's my daddy, that's my father, why I call him Mama. He was there, helped my mama when she lost my father. He ain't died where he disappeared, you thought he did. Mama died, tears I cried, I was 17. Hit the block when some work started hustling. I was lost, I was stumbling. Papa called me home, I left roaming to his arms. Babylon beat my spirit man and left scars. Found a doctor who could heal me and erase some scars. Took a while for me, I was busy chasing stars. But my God's so patient, he just waited on me. Sun shining bright, still exciting day. Got the crew with me, can't give them praise. Every year I hear like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. Every year I hear like the Rose Parade. Sun shining bright, can't give them praise. Every year I hear like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. Like Bookie said, how much for one one rib. God put Adam to sleep, took out one rib. Answer priceless result, it was Eve. Wife name on my arm, my heart is on my sleeve. Truth be told, second member, clock crew 417. Found a member, only one there when I got started. Had my back, has my back, as she always will. Red and ring, it just bling, all apart his will. Gave me baby lions, daddy love his little girls. Gifts from Zion like they mama, precious pearls. Rep the crew too, featured in my music too. Y'all gave me 2 plus 2 equals 4. Couldn't ask for more. Favorite number 4, something you should know. Holy Trinity plus this man equal 4. Holy Trinity plus me, that just equal 4. Sun shining bright, still a cloudy day. Got the crew with me, came to give praise. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Sun shining bright, came to give praise. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. Sun shining bright, still a cloudy day. Got the crew with me, came to give praise. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Sun shining bright, came to give praise. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day.
Christie kicks it high and short. Going to be fielded by Lorenzo Neal at the 25. Pitches it back to Wycheck. He throws it across the field to Dyson. He's got.
Listen to the crowd. Here's the snap. Here's the kick. It is long enough. It is good. Still loose as they get it to Rogers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's looking over to the end zone. He's looking to the end zone.
One into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game.
And now, coming to you live from the entertainment capital of the world, Mission Viejo, California, it's Chicken Wings and Pizza on the FYI Ministry Studios Radio Network. Here's Big Mike and Hebrew.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Christian Sports Radio show that is internationally known on the microphone. I am your boy, Big Mike, and obviously my esteemed producer, Pluto, over there controlling the sound.
Hello.
And we are so happy to be back at full strength this week. We welcome back our man, Hebrew. Hebrew, what's up, buddy?
Yes. Whoa.
That was a little loud.
Whoa. Yes. Hercules. Yeah, we back, man. Had to take a little time off. I missed the show so much last week. Missed all of y'all out there in the world and land of the radio thing we do for the Lord Jesus Christ and the love of sport out here at Mission Viejo, California. I'm surprised it came back. We actually have an intro now, so I'm glad these two guys did something productive while I was gone.
Well, we were semi-productive. I think semi-productive is probably more accurate, but we'll go with productive. We appreciate the props. It's good to have you back, buddy.
Good to be back, man. I see Chris is already in the building, Carrie in the building, Mama Pluto in the building. What's up, people?
And we would be remiss to not obviously thank everybody who's listening around the world tonight. However you may be listening or viewing the show, we really do appreciate you guys tuning in tonight, whether that's on Roku or TuneIn, Facebook, or YouTube Live. Obviously, our esteemed affiliates out on the East Coast, Not by Bread Alone Radio, and Power 102.1 out of Atlanta and Boston. Thank you all so much for tuning in with us tonight. And Hebrew, you always get us kicked off the right way, man, and in normal fashion.
Wait, you guys have to explain what's all behind you.
Oh, I forgot. We actually are the birthday boys this week. Mine was actually on. He's actually okay. Fine, we're gonna do this. All right.
No, Mike, you're not allowed to use the party favors when you didn't wear the hat.
No, that's fine. You're allowed to look like a unicorn.
That's true.
That's fine. Anyway, so
gotta shout out Pluto for setting up the studio.
No,
so
definitely.
nice for us, man.
Very
My birthday's
nicely
tomorrow.
done.
Big Mike, what was yours? The 8th?
On Thursday. Yeah.
Thursday the 8th. It's pretty cool that our birthdays are together. I guess we are truly brothers from another.
We certainly are. And I definitely want to give a shout out to my wife, Whitney, who made Hebrew and I birthday cakes. Fantastic. Whipped Up by Wit on Facebook. If you want to check out her work, it's astounding. And
yeah, man,
and that's why they call me Big Mike, because I can't keep a cake out of my mouth.
What was that called? What was that Oreo? That's called the Defying Gravity Oreo cake?
Yes, correct. She made it look like there were actually many Oreos being poured onto my cake.
That was amazing.
It's amazing. If you go to Whipped Up by Wit on Facebook, you'll be able to see it.
I'm telling you, folks. Graduations, birthdays. You got Father's Day coming up next week. You know your dad want a sweet tooth cake.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about that. So, and also thank you as always to the Wexler family, especially to Alicia. We appreciate you. Thank you so much again for dinner tonight. And Hebrew, why don't you go ahead, sir, get us that scripture so we can get this show kicked off the right way, and then we will get to it.
All right. Today we're coming out of Psalms 125, verse 1. This scripture is awesome. It's short but sweet. Those who trust in the Lord are as Mount Zion, which can't be moved but remains forever. And that's just talk about your faith, people. I mean, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You keep your faith in God in heaven, His Son, Jesus Christ. There's nothing on this earth that can really distract you or move you. You know, we got our rewards in heaven, our riches in heaven. So this work is easy when we have our faith, minds, and hearts in the right place.
Absolutely. Very well said, Hebrew. And I want to go ahead and I want to thank the fans right now, because normally we get this thing kicked off with the sampler platter. We'll do that in just a second. It came to my attention through numbers and research just recently that we are not only on in the U.S., but we are on in over 20 countries right now over the course of the world, and we really do appreciate everybody who listens. It doesn't matter how you listen, whether you're listening on TuneIn, Roku. I already mentioned the affiliates, obviously not by bread alone and power. And however you may be listening to us tonight, whatever country, whatever language, we really do appreciate you guys. Just keep coming back, giving us those that feedback, and that positivity definitely helps the show get going. And you can hear all the people cheering in the background. But I would be remiss if we didn't start in one particular place.
But before you move on that,
go ahead,
folks. Make sure you tell your friends and families about the show.
Please.
Tell them to tune in. They're not doing nothing on Saturday night. If y'all on Facebook, don't be afraid to invite your friends to come like the page, because it's awesome. We keep sports all day for you.
Right.
So, let your friends know. Invite them to like the page. Let's get this movement rolling together.
I think the number one thing, and I'll piggyback on that, is that we are not like your typical sports network or sports page or sports radio station. We're coming to you from a Christian perspective. We let you know ahead of time what it's coming from and where it's coming from. And the thing is this, we're not going to give you all the politics. We're not going to give you all the back talk and all the other, outside stuff that, supposedly is affiliated with sports talk. We're just going to give you the straight meat and potatoes, let you make the decision. You're always welcome to chime in. Obviously, on Facebook Live is our main feed for any viewer feedback, so we always appreciate you guys. But I want to get the show kicked off in the only way that I think is appropriate this time of year. Obviously, the NBA Finals are going, and to be honest with you, with the way the first three games had gone, I didn't assume we'd be talking about them in any other except the past tense, because of the fact that the Warriors in the first three games, they beat the Cavs soundly in the first two games. Then they end up beating the Cavs in a comeback that seemed to break the hearts of the Cavs and Cleveland in general. But what was interesting, I thought, was the Cavs actually came out, shot the lights out, set an NBA Finals record with 24 three-pointers, and really kind of responded in a way that I don't think very many people probably even thought was possible after the Game 3 loss that they suffered. Hebrew, obviously, we know you're a passionate basketball fan. What's your take? I mean, the first three games are pretty obvious. What's your take on last night?
I don't know, folks. Last night, to me, was kind of strange. Didn't really like the Warriors that I saw playing on the floor. Didn't look like the Warriors to me at all. The Cavs played a sensational game. Don't want to take anything away from them on that, especially Kyrie Irving. In my opinion, should they do a comeback that hasn't been done in history, that's the man that's your MVP. I mean, I don't know who else. LeBron James, to me, hasn't been doing what Kyrie Irving's been doing on the floor. Just his relentless drive to the hoop. One of the best finishers we've seen in the game in a lot of years. But the game was all right to me. I didn't really like it. I did want the sweep, but This does lead us to Hebrew being correct, which I did call a 5-1 series.
Yeah, it's like
So
it's over.
I will take that part out of it because we're definitely not going to see the Warriors losing at Roracle.
And Joshua, I do have to give a shout-out to Joshua Soliberry, who's joining us tonight from a drive-in movie. So, Josh, thank you.
That's what I'm talking about.
Is he really?
Wait a minute. Is it a drive-in or a drive-in movie? Because a drive-in could be Sonic. So I want to make sure that we're appropriating that the right way.
And Chris, I really didn't want to go there because, some people don't like always the conspiracy talk, but I am with you 100%. The refs, the Cavs definitely need to shout out the refs for being their sixth man. I was talking to one of my customers at the bank about that today. You got Kyrie Irving.
Need to get one of them to sponsor the show.
Yeah, hopefully. You got Kyrie Irving able to dribble the ball between his legs into the backcourt. Klay Thompson doesn't even touch the ball. He still is able to recover it. Give the ball. They actually made a three-pointer on that play. One of those 20-some-odd three-pointers you were talking about, Mike. Shouldn't even have been there because it was a clear backcourt violation. You got 3 so-called seasoned refs on the floor. And this is my opinion on the refereeing we saw. Touch fouls on LeBron every time down the floor. A lot of rough play against the Warriors that was just allowed to go on. And if the refs are not having a fix in, we need a whole new officiating core because they're horrible refs. They're missing calls. They're calling calls that are not good. So if it's not a conspiracy, there definitely needs to be a changing of the guard in the refs association. I know a lot of those guys are old. I don't know if they got their contacts together. I don't know what's going on if they care. Whatever's going on, if they're not cheating.
What's up, Steve?
If they're not cheating, all I'm saying is we need a new set of officials because throughout these playoffs, we've seen a bunch of horrible officiating.
Okay, well, normally I'm not the conspiracy theorist when it at least comes to officiating. I will agree to this. I'll agree to the fact that it definitely benefits the NBA to have a Game 5, and I know for a fact it benefits
Not only the NBA. Look how much money they make off of the food.
Wait, what are we saying, guys?
No.
What are we doing here?
See, he comes back and I can't finish my point.
Okay.
So anyway, what I'm alluding to is this. I think that the Cavs straight up outplayed the Warriors last night, but to all the points you just spoke to, the amount of foul shots the Cavs had was ridiculous.
In the first quarter, Big Mike, not to interrupt, they have 49 points and they missed 8 free throw shots. So,
which means they should have had 57 if they were free.
And this leads you to what you're talking about. How do you get fouled so many times that you're allowed to miss 8? You converted a lot, but you still score 49 points in a quarter, which makes no sense because they would have scored well over 50 like you were saying, Big Mike. So this officiating being lopsided, the Warriors were in foul trouble all night. Everybody knows when you're in foul trouble, your game changes. You play tentative. You don't play hard on defense because you're afraid of another touch foul being called on LeBron James. And if LeBron James really is the most dominant, best player in the world, he needs to play like we play at the gym, like we play at the park. We don't even call fouls unless we get hacked. So if the touch foul doesn't work at the gym, it shouldn't work in the NBA.
Well, but
I saw some incredible flopping too.
Oh yeah,
Ramon Shumpert,
dude, twice, right?
Yeah,
he had two.
Shout out my boy Jarrell out of Texas on that one, Pluto, because he just had a post on Facebook saying something's got to be done about the flopping in the NBA.
Well, let me.
It's ridiculous.
You need to be penalized with a technical foul or something. It's out of control.
Was it a couple years ago when all the Philadelphia Eagles just laid down on the field?
Yeah.
And
why not?
It's like it's become almost the same thing.
But I want to get. Here's the thing, though. To address the officiating. The officiating has been terrible in all pro sports for the last couple of years. It hasn't been like we're sitting here having this conversation and the officiating hasn't been bad in all 4 major pro sports.
That's why he was saying it's not just this game that we're talking about. It's been horrible throughout the whole playoffs.
But there is no doubt in anybody's mind that the NBA and ESPN benefit if this thing goes 5 games. There's no question that it does. And furthermore, here's the thing.
Talk about hundreds of millions of dollars.
I understand how much it is, but my thing is this. The Cavs still played better. The Cavs still came back from a 3-1 deficit last year, period. I don't care how much of a fix is in. You still have to play better than the other team straight up.
What are we saying? The refs
fixed it
so much.
The referees gave them 3 games to win the finals last year.
I like what Chris Lemoy said. If this game was being played in the '88 series, every player would have been fouled out in 10 minutes. And the '80s period, if they were calling these type of fouls that they were calling, these little touch fouls, there would have been no stars on the court.
Okay. So here's the thing.
A lot of those benches much better.
So we had big debates on Facebook this week about who would be better win. And my thing is this: you can't compare the Warriors, you can't compare the Bulls to the teams of the 80s like the Bad Boys and the Lakers and the Celtics and the 76ers.
You can compare the officiating because they actually have some officials.
No. That's not basketball. Okay. Again, my point is this. Getting to my point, you cannot have this particular set of referees compared to the ones in the 80s. Because the game's completely different. Bill Laimbeer used to punch Larry Bird in the face, and it was a common foul. Nowadays, if you punch... Did you see the flagrant foul they called on Kevin Love last night?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean, that's not a flagrant foul in any level of basketball. That includes the NJB. And you're not... There's no way that's a flagrant. And my point is to sit there and say, well, they wouldn't have made it in 88. Chris is 100% right. However,
he didn't say they wouldn't have made it. He said
he said they would have fouled out. They wouldn't have made it through the game.
Been able to play.
Right, and that's my thing. But
definitely true.
But if we're comparing that, there isn't really one there because the officiating's completely different. There's an entirely different set of rules today.
That's a good point.
Well, like I was saying at the beginning, the Cleveland played a great game on the ride up.
They absolutely did.
Kyrie Irving, to me, is the MVP of the Cavs right now.
100%.
J.R. Smith can actually hit a shot when he's at the queue. That's amazing for the Cleveland
That's
Cavaliers.
That's going to stink because they got two more at Oracle if they plan on pulling this out.
Kyle Korver actually hit a shot at the queue. Good job. Tristan Thompson grabbed a couple boards.
Let's not talk about Tristan Kardashian, please.
Yes,
just leave
the Cavaliers
him alone.
played a great game, but as I stated in the opening comments, these Warriors that you saw on the floor was not the Warriors that won 73 games. They're not the Warriors who have been sweeping through the playoffs. Whatever they were doing out there, totally discombobulated, no ball flow, a bunch of just, basically freshman-type level basketball on the offensive end, no resistance on the defensive end. This is what makes me say, even more than the officiating, what's really going on in professional sports, where we know all the money to be made, we know all the players that want to make their money. If the Warriors had played an all-out game and left everything on the floor, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So it's not about the officials in my book as much as about those players out there not giving their all. Why didn't they play at the level that they're playing when they're so-called super team? What were they really doing last night is the real question of why people are having these issues, because you see a team come out one night and play great and the next night flat. That's not normal. That's not basketball.
Well, okay, that's where I do disagree with you, because that is basketball. In the NBA, how many times do you have a team that wins 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row, and then they come out, like, I'll give you a perfect example. The Golden State Warriors last year, not this current year, but last year when they won 73 games.
We know, as the president of the LBG fan club, Wildemar division, you have to make these arguments.
No.
But last year
it's LBJ, first of all. And furthermore, no, you didn't. You said LBG. But here's my point.
I'm not really too concerned.
I'm again.
As the president of the LBJ fan club Wildemar chapter, you have to correct me.
I will.
I thought I was on a different radio station for a second.
I actually was not going to make the case for the Cavs at all.
What I'm saying, you're talking about last year. Last year has nothing to do with
I'm not talking about the NBA Finals last year. If you would let me get to my point and stop being rude, my point was going to be that the Warriors ended up winning 24 in a row to start the year. Everybody remembers that, correct? Okay, does anybody remember who they lost to? They lost to the Milwaukee Bucks at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee by 15 points, and the Milwaukee Bucks were awful a year ago. Dude, you can have a bad night in the NBA, and you know what? That doesn't mean the Warriors...
Regular season has nothing to do with the NBA Finals.
You're going to seriously sit there and tell me that there is that strong of a difference, and they're playing the second-best team in the league. They lost one game, and now all of a sudden this is a conspiracy theory?
I'm not saying anything besides the fact of
you just did.
Is why people do not watch professional sports.
Well, I
this
would
is why you got people blowing up.
No, I think Hebrews got a good point there.
You got people blowing up on social media saying they'll never watch another NBA Finals. What I'm talking about is the NBA needs to stop playing games, whatever they're doing. Either way, if it's real or not, we need a quality product every night. So if you're going to be a super team with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Zaza Pachulia, who is a liability either way, and then you got Klay Thompson. If this is the type of team you are, there's no way when they're also people always talk about the Warriors offense when the reason why they're great is because of their defense, which is what we see didn't happen last night. There is never going to be a Warriors team giving up 49 points in one quarter unless something is going on. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about the rest. I'm not talking about everything. How is such a great defensive team going to give up 49 points in one quarter?
I don't know how the 18-0 Patriots lose to the Giants.
You talking about football? We're talking about the
No.
NBA,
I'm talking about pro sports in general. You brought up that they don't watch pro sports. You brought up the point. In all fairness, you said they don't watch pro sports. How do the undefeated New England Patriots, who trashed every team they played, lose to the New York Giants in the Super Bowl?
How'd they come back last year with hardly no time on the clock? Besides, this is why people don't watch professional sports. Some things don't.
They watch the greatest comeback in the history of the Super Bowl?
The greatest comeback or the greatest setup. I mean, this is what
Julian Edelman's catch in between three Falcons was not a setup.
The three Falcons take the playoff?
They all tried to intercept the ball last time I checked.
Are you sure that's what they were doing?
I really would tend to think they're not getting
in their minds?
Are you calling them $6 million actors?
Were you in their minds when they were going for that play?
Okay, you know what? I will bet you any amount of money the three of them weren't going, oh, God, let's bobble this so Julian makes a great catch. We lose the Super Bowl. We're completely embarrassed. We can't get over it. And on top of that, let's make sure we blow a 25-point lead, don't stop them in overtime, and lose the chance to give Atlanta their first world championship.
What I tell you on the write-up,
absolutely.
Mike, the people, the powers.
That's exactly what they said.
What I tell you on the write-up, Mike, the powers that be, they play chess. They don't play checkers.
Thank you, Denzel Washington Training Day.
You're talking checkers. This is a statement that's been around in the neighborhood.
See, this is
Hold
why
on, Mike,
we get.
I let you talk.
You did not let me. You have not let me finish a sentence.
Not done talking.
You have not let me finish a sentence this whole show.
This statement has been around long before Trading Day was ever created. A fictional story. People are controlling things at a much higher level than what some people can operate on. If that's something that's from Trading Day, I don't know. All I know is there is powers. There are things that are set up, and this is the reason why people don't like pro sports. People like college sports because, this is not all that going on.
Okay. Anyway, so I guess we're going to agree to disagree on that because obviously
we're going to disagree to agree.
What? No, we're going to agree to disagree because
we're going to disagree to agree.
Because you seem to think that everything in the world is fixed, and I don't think three Falcons trying to intercept a Tom Brady pass or dropping it on purpose.
How's everything in the world a couple professional sports matches?
Are you being serious right now? Do you not believe in okay, so you're telling me the NBAs in the 80s were fixed because a total of 5 teams made the finals? Is that what you're telling me?
Are you comparing errors now, what you said we're not supposed to do?
Wait a minute. No, I'm doing it in a different way, though. Are you saying the NBA's been fixed?
I have no answer. That's comparison of errors.
Okay, so I'm comparing errors now. So are you telling me the NBA was fixed because only the Sixers, the Rockets, the Celtics, and the Lakers made the finals? Yes or no? Because only 4 teams.
I can't compare errors on the show.
Again, and see, that's why your argument's weak. Because it has no validity. You are talking complete conspiracy theory all the way. There is no.
When we started this whole conversation, it was already denoted as conspiracy.
Correct, but now you're feeding into the fact that pro athletes don't even try; they just let things happen. That's what you're giving me.
You're making ultimate statements off of one-ofs. I did not say anything about all pro athletes. We're talking about certain instances that could be viewed from a different perspective.
Okay, so is the David Tyree catch fixed?
Do we have any other topics for tonight?
We do. So anyway, the other thing that's come out of the finals is obviously everybody wants to make KD the greatest player in the world.
Wow.
All of a sudden, KD is the greatest player ever. So my question.
It's kind of like how all of a sudden the Warriors don't know how to play basketball.
So my question to you is, Hebrew, real simply, is KD really the greatest player in the world off of 4 games?
Absolutely not. I love the post I saw on Facebook this week. Russell Westbrook was asked about the whole situation, and he responded, now that he is on the best team in the world with so many all-stars, superstars, he's the best player. I didn't see that Kevin Durant last year in OKC. I didn't see Kevin Durant get 5 blocks in one game. I didn't see Kevin Durant put everything on the floor while he's out there playing.
Who, me?
And I definitely didn't see all shooters surrounding him, making him the tallest player on the floor, just doing what he wants to do and being able to kick it out to a bunch of shooters. So whatever, if Kevin Durant is so great and he's the best player, he should be able to do the same thing in OKC that he was doing in Washington. I'm over here, Warriors. And he obviously is able to play much better on the Warriors because there's a much better supporting cast around him, which allows you to know that he's not such a great player, but he has a lot of great players around him.
Well, and I think that to say KD's the greatest player in the league, or to say he's
He ain't got no meat on his bones, Mike.
Well, here's the thing. I think that this is a complete misnomer that's put out there in our instant gratification society that we have. And I think that when people see Kevin Durant scoring at the rate that he is, and he's scoring, 34.3 points a game in the finals, and, it's one of those things where I look across the island. I know you brought up Kyrie Irving, who played great last night, averaging 39 points in his 2 home games. But one thing that I will say is this. I got to give it to the fact that we're sitting here and we're crowning a guy after 4 games. Can't do that. Can't even look at it in a way.
It's about a body of work.
Yeah, exactly. It's about a body of work. You got LeBron James, who's across the aisle, who's averaging 32 points a game, essentially, 12 rebounds and 10 assists in this finals. I mean, look, he may not be the best player in the finals right now, but here's what I will tell you. He's averaging a triple-double. He passed Magic Johnson for the most triple-doubles in the history of the finals. Regardless of how you feel about him, he is an all-time great, period. And there's no question that LeBron James is still the best player on the floor. Kyrie Irving is not the second best player on the floor. He's the second best player on the Cavs. Kevin Durant is playing the way he should at 7 foot with freakish athletic ability. This isn't a new concept for him. I don't know why people are acting like this is a fresh, brand new concept for Kevin Durant. This is how he should be playing all the time, and he's taking advantage of an opportunity that he should have in the first place.
Yep, he did. He definitely didn't play like that for Oklahoma City Thunders. Russell Westbrook, who was supposed to be his buddy and running mate, didn't give him that much effort on the floor. And we know what Russell Westbrook does every night. Still hoping for him to win the MVP this year. Looks like he's definitely locked in. They waited so long. I don't know when they actually voted, but
right.
Kawhi Leonard going down, James Harden being the turnover king. I mean, if the playoffs were anything to say, Russell Westbrook definitely was the one. Even though his team didn't advance, he fought every game he played. He's a great player, great talent, but his words mean a lot to me, because we did not see the Kevin Durant that we're seeing this year in any of his years with OKC. We've never seen him put that effort in on the defensive end alone. I didn't even know he could be a defender. I've seen him getting still.
That's
with those
a great
long
point,
arms,
man.
able to use it. 5 blocks in a game, like I said.
That part's good.
He's the rim
that.
protector on the team right now. And why wasn't he doing that in OKC? Why wasn't he helping out some of those, on the defensive end in OKC? So this is a great point Westbrook brought up. No, Kevin Durant is not the best player in the world right now. Like I said, the guy is way too skinny for me to actually be best. He can't dominate. Even though he's a great player, he still has to work to get his shot. You want to see a player that plays effortless. As much as I hate to say it, it's LeBron James. He literally can just run down the floor every time and get a layup.
Well, LeBron's still
and why
the
he
prototype.
doesn't do that is why the Cavaliers are not where they need to be, because he should take the ball down every time and get 2 points, period. Don't go down there and kick the ball, LeBron. Don't go down there and play your little games. Go down there, slam dunk, lay the ball, and I'm telling you, y'all will win the series.
Well, that's fair enough. His pass-first mentality, I don't think will give to that, but you do have a point. I think if LeBron James decided to, he could definitely average a triple-double for a whole season if he just wanted to.
And the numbers would be high.
Oh, they would. They'd be ridiculous. So I got to ask you this. Is Monday night a must-win for Golden State at this point? Because, I know you don't want to talk about last year, but being that last year is somewhere in the back of the minds of everybody in that city except Kevin Durant, who wasn't there for it because he blew a 3-1 lead to the Warriors, my question is Monday night a must-win for Golden State?
Absolutely not. Golden State has home court advantage, so their only must-win is going to be Game 7. But I do believe that this is, like I've been saying the whole time, 5-1 series. So Monday night, I'm looking for the series to close out. I thought exactly what's been happening is what I exactly thought was going to happen.
Okay.
I knew they weren't going to lose at Oracle. I was like, Cleveland might win one at home, and then we're going to go ahead and finish at the Oracle where they're not going to lose. So that's why I came up with my prediction the whole time. And, it's just really amazing to me that it came back to the Oracle. I was looking at when I saw the first 3 games, the Warriors played so amazing. There's no reason why they should have lost game 4. But like I said, these were not the same Warriors. But definitely, they're not making it past Monday night. Cavaliers got their win. They're able to say, even when you heard Kyrie Irving talking in the after-game interview, he was like, well, that was the most important thing to get one win. So, they feel like they accomplished everything for this year because they know they don't have enough firepower to keep up with the Dubs.
Well, the one thing I will say is this. Golden State is much better this year than last. There's no question about it. There's zero idea in my head that the Warriors are a much improved team. But I do know this. Cleveland, regardless of what you think of what happened last year, came back from a 3-1 deficit, which historically had never happened. And the Warriors should have slammed the door on their foot last night. There should not have been a 5th game, period.
They weren't the Warriors, though.
Okay, but my point is that Golden State should have done more to make sure that didn't happen. And here's my thing. You don't let Cleveland keep breathing in this situation. And I understand last year. I picked the Dubs to win the series. But I'm telling you, you have to put the fire out. And they continue to let, a few embers burn a little bit longer. And if they don't win Game 5, you mark my words, we will be in Oakland June 18th for a Game 7 if they do not pull out Monday night.
Yeah, I still tend to agree with Chris, who said Monday doesn't really mean anything. There's honestly no way that they're going to win 4 games in a row. The Warriors are not going to just, unless what I was saying at the beginning is the truth, there's no way a Warriors team is going to lose 4 games back-to-back. So they're going to pick up 1 out of all these. Game 5 doesn't really matter.
Okay. All right. Well, fair enough. Well, we will leave it there. We are up against our first station break. And, again, we appreciate everybody. It has been a fantastic first 30 minutes with Hebrew back in the studio. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, and we love the comments coming in right now. So just keep listening, watching. However you're doing it, we appreciate you, whether it's on Roku, TuneIn, in BBA, or Power 102.1 FM in Boston and Atlanta. We appreciate you guys. And when we come back, we're going to cover more from the world of sports. We're going to be talking a little NHL finals and talk about the Pens and the Predators and the rest of what's going on this week in the world of sports. This is Cw&P on a Saturday night from Mission Viejo. We'll be back.
Peace.
We live in order to get attention for God. If we don't live for God's glory, we become simply a little echo of a God-neglecting culture. So echo. We fit in so well to this world that we can't direct anybody's attention out of the world, which is where God is.
Yeah.
We're just so afraid of not being in step that we blend so well, nobody's saying, wow, look at God. You are a people for God's own possession, not for the possession of anybody here. He called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Because you're God's. He belonged to God.
Yeah, it's motivation. Yeah. I'm back on the grizzy, Ambassador Dizzy gets busy. I'm still in my lane, proclaiming his name and don't think if nobody gets with me. I know that I'm flawed, I know it for sure. I'm thinking the Lord, he forgives me. I hope in the cross, cause of the cross, my sins get tossed like a frisbee. Sometimes I'm tempted to fall off and start to getting all switchy. The devil is cunning, fall for his hammer baloney, and you can get richy. Then you will fall in the tickling ears. You know it could be itchy, but Jesus is more than a niche. Is Lord over all, he says lift me. Yeah, I got in the game, cause I like music, plus I like sing. What's in my heart and what's on my brain. Then my heart got lit by a God that was slain. Now I got a heart for the art that pertains to this God who was sovereign and sovereignly reigns. Heard he was looking for a rap, but not any rap, but the rap that exalts in his name. So I said I would do it. I'm not in step with the trends. The trend is leaving them out or tucking them in till he's not an offense. Hope you don't think that I'm judging ya. Hope you don't say I'm not loving ya. But God on the outer, man on the inner. This is so secular. Secret, secret, secret. Sacred or secular? Sacred, sacred, sacred or secular? Sacred or secular? Sacred or secular? Don't get it twisted, there is a difference. Sacred or secular? Sacred, sacred, sacred or secular? Sacred, sacred, sacred or secular? Sacred or secular? Sacred or secular? Even when there's no divide, you must decide. Sacred or secular? I hear a whole lot of music. Don't take nothing for homies to drop, so allow me to drop for the one who's on top. Supreme, and I ain't talking tacos. My God is colossal. It's the Colossians I go. He is a king, made everything, and I do mean the Ravens, the Flacco. He's man, but he's God though. Something that not even Pac knows. There's something much better than ghettos in heaven, but you don't even know it like Rocco. Jesus is my boast. He knew there was beef like a pot roast. What you think this life is rocky for? Why you thinking about Drago? Gospel I flow. As the time goes, some guys go. Can't see this while your eyes closed, but the vibe ain't new, but the vibe's old. Cop them mics like 5-0. Let's kick insight like Tybo. Yeah, it ain't law, but it is Paul who said it's that cross, that's all I know. So I'm making a record. I'm calling it sacred or secular. Taking the effort, kinda like sounding like I'm in a breaking a record. Cause I'm into being redundant. When it's a theme I've been meaning to run with. That's what ambassadors do. Asia to Africa, on to New England to London. Sacred, sacred, sacred or secular. Sacred, sacred, sacred or secular. Sacred or secular. Sacred or secular. Don't get it twisted, there is a difference. Sacred or secular. Sacred, sacred, sacred or secular. Sacred, sacred, sacred or secular. Sacred or secular. Sacred or secular. Even when there's no divide, you must decide. Yeah, sacred or secular. The glory, the honor, the power, the money, the wallet, the purse is his. I'm talking the dollars, the cents, the mall, and even your purchases. What can you say? You could just say the entire earth is his. Sacred is when he sets it apart for his person and purposes. Do what you do like he intended for you on the planet. Loving him and this he intended for you when he planned it. Whether you're eating or drinking, seeking or thinking, working or playing, it all can give him the glory. But that's just half of the story. He exalted Jesus Christ and the crosses. People that like and they floss it. We see that mic and we all spit. What's in the heart we talk it. And we all preach it like pulpit. We won't speak life if you don't speak Christ, and it doesn't matter what you call it. But they say I'm too narrow. They tell me my art isn't broad enough. That's phony. The world is a one-trick pony. They're more narrow than all of us. This is not a rebuke or saying that there's not a use for rappers that rap like whatever. But rappers a tool that allows you to do more. Sacred, sacred, sacred or secular. Sacred, sacred, sacred or secular. Sacred or secular. Sacred or secular. Don't get it twisted, there is a difference. Sacred or secular. Sacred, sacred, sacred or secular. Sacred, sacred, sacred or secular. Sacred or secular. Sacred or secular. Even when there's no divide, you must decide. Sacred or secular.
Welcome back, governors. I can't go any further than that. Anyways, you're back with Cw&P Nation on a special birthday edition of the show. Big Mike's birthday just passed on Thursday, June 6th. He made it to 82. I just passed. Well, I'm not even there yet, but on June the 11th, I'll be 31, and he's actually 32 this year.
Yes.
And I guess that's why they call him Big Mike. He's a little older than me.
Yeah, I fair enough. Like your big brother. Like I just schooled you in that last argument. But anyway. But anyway. Hey, they asked us for more jokes.
I know. Before we go on, we are, in the beautiful studios at FYI, Missionville, California. FYI Radio Network, Roku, TuneIn, Google us, man. You're going to find us. Shout out Picasso and Not By Bread Alone Radio.
Woo!
Shout out Power 102.1 FM.
What up, Picasso?
Holding down Boston and Atlanta. Like Big Mike told you at the beginning of the show, we're actually worldwide, man. Shout out Uganda. Shout out the Philippines. Shout out Vietnam, New Guinea. I think we in Canada, London.
We're definitely in Canada. There's no question.
We got, listeners in Mexico. It's really beautiful. If y'all don't know, you new people listening. Me and Mike just started this as an idea. We were in the den at my house. Mm-hmm. Brother Pluto came on board. This is where we at now in a few short months. So this is what God can do when you get some brothers together. He said 2 or 3 combined. He's in the midst. you can get something rolling too. Where we at, Big Mike?
There's no doubt. And speaking of the wonderful country of Canada, our brothers to the north and sisters.
Shout out that free health care. I need some.
The NHL Stanley Cup, for those of you, and shout out to Jeremy Farding if you're listening. Jeremy has been consistent on this point. He's a great friend of the show and a contributor to us. And the NHL playoffs have been the most tolerable thing to watch recently.
The NHL is always going to be honest.
Because the NHL has, number one, good officiating. Number two, they allow fighting in their sport, which is always amazing. And for the most part, the games have been really close up until the Stanley Cup Finals. For those of you who don't know, the other night, the Penguins trashed the Predators with 3 goals in the first, 3 goals in the second, and ended up winning at the Igloo in Pittsburgh 6-0. Tomorrow night is Game 6. The Predators and Penguins have held serve the whole time, and to give you guys a really interesting stat, this series, the home team, so Pittsburgh for 3 of them and Nashville for 2, has outscored their opponent 24-6.
In hockey.
24-6 for the home team, which in hockey is ridiculous. That's 4 goals to 1 for the opposing team on the road. So it really is one of those things where if home serve is held the whole way, the Pens are going to be back-to-back champions. The Predators have played really, really well this year, but Pittsburgh just looks to have a little more than everybody else that the Preds have played so far.
Steven just asked, did we ever have to stop a fight on the ice? I've never played hockey, obviously.
Well, Steve, to that effect, wow, PK Subban's actually a really good hockey player. But
I wish I would have played.
But anyway, Steve, to answer your question, they will stop the fight if it's preliminary, or they can separate the guys. But if they can't, they just let them slug it out.
I think he's asking, have we ever like us?
Have I ever fought somebody? I can't skate to save my life, and I don't skate on knives and hit a puck. So that's not ever going to happen.
You stopped? My question to you, Steven, have you had to stop a fight on the ice?
Hey, Steve,
please give us your feedback on that.
And just to give everybody a shout out, Steve is a black belt, so if you fight him, it's probably a pretty good bet you're going to lose.
Well, I made it to yellow belt, 2nd degree, broke a toe, and I was like, I'm done with karate.
Shout out to Colleen Jackson. Yeah, fighting, it's always a great time. Yes, I totally agree. So anyway, but you know what? Honestly, with the NHL,
what in the world was that?
And that sounds like the pit of his stomach. But I
was going to say, sound like somebody's hungry.
But here's my thing. We look at it a certain way. The NHL has been really watchable this year. They've been good games. They've been physical. And for the most part, they haven't been blowouts. And when you look at the way the NHL Stanley Cup has shaken out in the final, it's been playing really well. So we'll see how tomorrow night goes. Either the Pens are going to have their 2nd straight cup, or we're going to have a Game 7 in Pittsburgh later in the week.
Predictions, Mike. Who you got? Pens or the Predators?
Oh, I've had the Pens the whole time. I did like the Pens in 5, though. I didn't think the Preds were going to come out and do what they were doing. But the Penguins have the experience, and Malkin and Crosby are pretty much always a winning combination when they're put together. So
I'm looking for Predators to pull an upset, so let's see what happens.
Well, we will find out what happens. I'm actually anxious to see how this series turns out, so we will find out. So moving on to Pluto's favorite sport, and Andy Raven, I know you've been waiting for this. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball, and the first thing I want to get to, Pluto, I would love to have your opinion on this because you just got to see them play in person. And no, I'm not talking about the Dodgers. You recently got to go watch the Chicago Cubs play, and the Cubs are the defending world champions for the first time in 108 years, but they are struggling mightily right now and are playing awful baseball at the moment. They're dropping games like flies, although the Rockies, who they have in town right now, are the biggest surprise in the MLB. But what did you see from the Cubs when you saw them in person and just have seen them this year?
I went with a huge Cubs fan. So we were talking about how there was just no offensive production. No one can get on base. You can't even get on to first base, so you can't make anything happen.
First base is where it starts, baby.
No one's hitting any homers. There was just zero production. The pitching when I saw was okay. It kept us. I think it took us until like the 7th or 6th or 7th inning to start manufacturing runs. But
right. Didn't the Dodgers hit 4 homers in that game?
Yeah, they were all homers.
Okay.
No, there was no runs, but until the end of the game.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, just in your professional baseball opinion, Do you think that Chapman leaving that bullpen hurt them, or do you think that Chapman is a very small part of the issue?
I think when things are that bad, there's no small part of the issue.
Let's be fair to him.
There was no one to fill in the gap after he left. Like they haven't.
No. And I understand that. And the Yankees gave him so much money. The Cubs, there's no way they were paying him 5 years, $86 million. I mean, there was just no way Chapman was getting that money. But here's...
Can you see Andy's in the...
Yes, I definitely... Yeah, the Cubs-Yankees World Series. Andy, no. But here's what I will say about the Cubs. They're 30-31 right now. What they need to be thankful for to Jesus is that the Brewers are 33-29, only 2.5 games up on them.
True.
I think that the Cubs, again, this is way too early to worry, but their struggles are very notable, and they only have about 100 games left, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but when you consider that baseball goes by every single day, and you consider that every single day we either see the Cubs on a really big high or a really big low, that's not a good place for them to be after 60 games. I mean, we'll reevaluate, obviously, after the All-Star break. You know, they may win 16, 17 out of 20 games here soon.
If they're going to go on a tear and they're going to go on a run,
right?
I don't know who they're going to do it with. So, who's going to step up on that lineup?
But here's the thing. Who's
going to stand up in that bullpen?
Okay, but here's my thing. That lineup is supremely talented, but they're not really with Rizzo, Baez, Bryant. I mean, come on.
All I'm talking about on that team is Rizzo. That's all I'm talking about on that team.
Dude, Chris Bryant's the MVP of the NL. Are you serious?
I understand the title, and I get that, but I mean...
He's like the third best player in the National League behind Kershaw and Harper.
Here's a broader sports talk radio subject.
Okay.
I think we put too much into that. He was the NL rookie of that, whatever, but they're losing. No one's doing nothing. And it's not like a week of losing. It's been a whole front half of the season, So sometimes when we say, hey, that guy isn't producing. Oh, well, that guy was last year was like the blah blah blah. And I know it's really hard to separate the arguments between now and in the past. And stuff.
And I'm okay with that.
But it's definitely a what have you done for me lately kind of business.
But I will say this much: baseball is the one sport where you can compare eras more effectively than you can in others, and you can compare years more effectively because Chris Bryant is on an upswing in his career. He's not on a down. I mean, for crying out loud, the guy's only been in the majors 3 or 4 years.
Right.
I mean, he's only going to... 3, so he's only going to progress. He's not going to get worse, you would think, at least. So,
and Andy thinks Chris Bryant
Andy's crazy.
Is the best in the league. What do you think about that, Mike, in the National League?
He's not the best in the league. Bryce Harper and Clayton Kershaw are better players, hands down, than Chris Bryant.
I mean...
Sorry, Andy.
There's no question. And Andy,
and Trout. I mean, on the AL side...
But Trout and Aaron Judge right now are the two that everybody's talking about. However, I got to be honest. Across the board in the MLB this year... Outside of the Nationals and the Astros and the Rockies, I haven't really seen anybody like that has just come out of the gate and they're just on fire.
Cody
No.
Bellinger.
I'm not talking about players. I'm talking about teams as a whole.
Oh.
Like you have the Dodgers. They're really good now. They didn't come out that way.
You're right.
The Rockies came out of the gate just like a gunshot, just bang, straight out. And the same thing with the Nationals. Same thing with the Astros. So those are the 3 teams right now that I feel are playing the best. However, the Dodgers I picked to go to the World Series, I'm 100% sticking with that because the Dodgers, I feel, have the best pitching staff with Kershaw leading it.
By far.
At least in the NL. I mean, I don't know about the AL. Boston's got a pretty solid staff at Price.
I think the stat was last month they were the lowest ERA combined bullpen in the whole
I will give Boston the fact that when Price is healthy, Sale's healthy, and Porcello are healthy, that starting rotation's ridiculous. I mean, seriously, I think there's 3 Cy Young winners right there. So we'll see how that goes. And then the other thing I wanted to ask, can anybody catch the Astros? I mean, I know the Yanks are only 6 games back. I know it's early in the season, but the Astros are playing on an otherworldly level. Hebrew, do you actually think that they're going to be able to come back?
Who's going to be able to come back?
Do you think anybody's going to be able to catch the Houston Astros?
Well, like you said, there's a lot of baseball left to be played this year. But we are, if they continue on this trajectory, as you're saying, I mean, there's not going to be no catching them. They'll be in the World Series for sure this year. It'll be nice to have the Astros back in it.
Yeah, no doubt.
They've been playing some excellent baseball, like you're saying, on both sides, defense and offense. So I really like what they've been doing all year long. Watched a couple innings of their play. Yeah, have a nice pitcher. And, everything keeps going. Definitely, I don't see – it's not going to be easy to catch them, but it's not out of the realm of possibility yet with so much baseball left to be played.
Well, and I do want to clear something up for our listeners who are listening on Facebook. Mike Trout is the best player in baseball. We were talking specifically about the National League. Mike Trout, hands down, when he's healthy. Hopefully he gets back soon. As an Angels fan, I'm really hoping he gets back soon. But there's no doubt Mike Trout's the best player in the game when healthy.
Dude, I was watching a compilation video of his greatest throwouts from outfield.
Oh, they're probably amazing.
Dude, you're always talking about how he hits, but you forget that the dude can throw.
Well, and the catches he makes and robbing people of home runs is unbelievable.
Excellent.
I did want to get to one other point on baseball, and then we'll head to the rest of the weekend sports. It looks like the AL is going to have one heck of a wild card race this year. Right now, there are literally 14 teams in the wild card hunt. They're all separated by 6 games. Down the stretch, the AL is looking like something to watch because if you literally have half that many teams in contention for 2 wild cards, that's going to be nothing less than entertaining. And happy to say the Angels are still in that, being a homer that I am for them. However, I don't think they're going to hold on much longer. So we'll see. But I'm trying to have as much faith as possible.
Go White Sox.
You're funny. Anyway, I wanted to get to something else, and for those of you who have been following the NFL and craving NFL talk on our show, we are here. So, obviously, Hebrew, it's always troubling when the best player on your team is not in OTAs because generally that means there's a problem.
Excuse me.
Well, Odell Beckham Jr. is not at OTAs. He's hanging out with Iggy Azalea. He's putting up YouTube videos of him catching one-handed passes, and he's hanging out.
Hey, where I just saw Odell Beckham at last was at the Oracle catching the NBA Finals game.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right.
And I actually think he was in Cleveland last night, too.
I didn't know if he was there or not, but I know he was there.
So here's my thing. Odell Beckham had the last year of the option of his rookie contract picked up by the Giants. Pays him $1.839 million.
That's like buying a great player at the Dollar Tree.
Wow. Anyway, okay.
I mean, that's really low.
That's really cheap.
That's
now,
low,
keep in
I'm
mind
telling
that's
you.
his rookie contract. That's not
He's
unusual.
still under his rookie contract.
Exactly. So he's getting paid $5 million a year from Nike for a shoe deal he just signed. So with him holding out, and Adam Schefter of ESPN, so you know it's probably 99.9% true, is the one reporting the holdout is for that reason. My question is, are they in trouble in New York if they cannot please OBJ?
I mean, what's the other reason for the holdout besides, trying to get what he's actually worth?
Right.
If they don't want to pay the man, there is plenty of other teams in the league, at least 20, that will pay him. So you better give the man his money, give him what he's due. And, I like what he's doing. I love when people play hardball, especially in negotiations. That's just how you let the other side know your worth. And he's definitely worth it.
That.
And why do you think he's posting those one-handed catches?
Right. No, he's definitely right.
And I want to interject with something real quick, Pluto, before you give your take here. Keep in mind that Odell Beckham's the one at the disadvantage here because not only do the Giants not have to renegotiate his contract, he can be franchise tagged 2 years in a row if he decides to hold out the whole season. So even though he'll get paid buku bucks in those 2 years, kind of like the Kirk Cousins situation in Washington, he won't have a long-term deal. And the Giants are one of them, along with the Steelers and the Packers. They're pretty hard negotiators. They don't really give a lot to players because of holdouts. Generally what they do is they wait for performance and then renegotiate a contract later. That's been their history, at least.
We talk about Odell Beckham.
I'm not
sure the Giants want to go ahead and take that gamble.
I'm not saying they should. I'm saying that they're notorious for doing that negotiating-wise. So
they're also notorious for not having great teams.
They're also notorious for beating Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Go ahead.
You know what? Ever since they made him take the gloves off, I don't like the way he's been catching. And I think the Giants see that. And that's why he's not getting what he's
So are you sitting there telling me that the guy tied with my boy Jarvis Landry down in Miami for the most catches in the first 3 years of his NFL career, and a guy who is arguably the biggest star the New York Giants have ever had outside of Lawrence Taylor.
Great. Okay.
You're not gonna.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
But here's what I will say.
But of those, the majority of the 3 years of catching,
yeah,
I'd be interested in that stat where the majority of those catches came from, and I'm betting it's when he was allowed to wear the glove.
Well, here's what I am saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Here's what I'll say
That's all
about
I'm saying.
this too. Do you guys think that it would have helped his negotiating if he hadn't laid an egg in Green Bay in the playoffs and hadn't gone on a boat trip?
Or he hadn't gotten a fight with a football net and lost?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's one of those things.
Hey, Pluto, you just made
Chris
LeBoy
out his
spit
drink.
his drink out his mouth.
Learn
how to drink better, Chris LeBoy.
And you know what?
A sippy cup.
Alicia Wexler, who's a great contributor to this show, and she feeds us every other week.
Who's a huge OBG fan.
And here's the thing. OBJ could very possibly be gone from the New York Giants if they're not careful. But we move
I know
on.
the Los Angeles Rams will pay him. Let him go.
Hey, here's the cool part.
Rams.
I think there's also 31 other teams that would
Right.
pay him. I want to get to
San
this.
Francisco 49ers?
So the NFL, he won't go there.
If he does, he's the
could
quarterback.
He could be the next Jerry Rice.
I don't think he wants to be paid in hell. But anyway, so
Wow.
So
the Bay Area is a beautiful area.
I didn't say the scenery wasn't great, but the 49ers are a turd. But anyway.
So what does that? What does that make the Miami Dolphins diarrhea?
Well, since they made the playoffs last year, you can't quite go there.
No more poop jokes here, guys.
We can't do
no more poop jokes.
Can we do the emoji at least? But anyway, so the NFL decided to lighten up their celebration rules. And I mean, hey, that's awesome, right? You can use the ball as a prop. You can start, pulling a Chad Johnson and literally, salsa dancing with the ball again. However, there's a complication that most people don't know about. As soon as the ref calls touchdown, you have 40 seconds from the time the ref signals touchdown to get out for the extra point. Keep in mind, the extra point's no longer from the 10-yard line. It's from, the 25 or the 20? So it's a 30.
Hey, Big Mike, do you see that on the screen?
Very nice. Thank you, Alicia. But anyway, she put the poop emoji up on Facebook. That's amazing. Anyway, let me ask you guys a question. So is this the NFL basically sitting there going, hey, thanks for everything. We really do appreciate you guys.
Is this where our show is gone, gentlemen?
Yeah, no, it's actually on the rise. We're actually the plumbers getting rid of the crap.
So I'm Mario, you're Luigi.
So I'll take that all day. What's he? He can't be Peach. What character?
Yoshi.
Is he okay, we'll give him Yoshi.
Obvious.
That's awesome. So Pluto's gonna be Yoshi. I'll be Luigi. You be Mario.
Lost all control of the show.
So we're gonna. You didn't have it in the first place, pal. So anyway. So.
Hey, Pluto, you gotta
my mic's gone.
he did it.
Anyway, I'm sorry, Bowser.
Sorry, folks.
I apologize, King Bowser.
We have a producer / hater controlling the boards out there.
So let me ask you guys a question. So they allow the celebrations, but now they have 40 seconds to kick an extra point. Is this pretty much the way that this is classic Goodell though?
Do you celebrate before the kick or after the kick, Big Mike, so you can have a little bit more time?
I actually have a theory.
That's a good point.
I have a theory here. I actually think the way they should do it is they should literally have a designated area on the sidelines for celebrations where the fans can watch.
Yeah.
And that way it doesn't affect the play on the field
put it
at
on
all.
the big screen at the time. And
well, that's my point.
They can put a 40-second clock up while he's dancing.
And here's the other thing. Now
they can let the fans say.
Now you
can turn it into a social media thing, Big Mike, where the fans can say, "Hey, hashtag the best dancer that you saw tonight."
Well, yeah, exactly. That'll give the NFL more promotion. And here's another one. Here's another one for you guys that I think is interesting, and I don't know. I have to check the facts on this one if it's actually going to happen.
Oh, wait a minute, Big Mike. I know the other thing we were talking about in that first rule change. When does the 40 seconds start? Is it going to be after the mandatory review on all scoring?
According to what I have heard, the way that is going to work is it's going to be as soon as the touchdown is confirmed, they have 40 seconds. So
blah, blah, blah.
If that's going to be the case, then technically you have the entire time of the review to celebrate.
So that's why they're doing a review.
But what they're trying to do is speed up the game, supposedly. And
why? Football's been at the pace that it's played for 50 years now.
Man, I don't know, because the NFL listens to the three guys who were mad it takes a while to play the game. That's why. I'm not entirely sure why.
Those are the three guys who don't really know football and never played.
No, that might be true. Anyway, to wrap up this segment, we do want to give kudos to Bob Stoops, who was the Oklahoma coach who retired earlier this week.
Excellent coach.
A national champion in 2000. Okay, so Pluto, you're a numbers guy, and so are you, Hebrew. What do you think Bob Stoops' career winning percentage was at Oklahoma in 18 seasons?
75%.
Hebrew, what's your guess?
65.
80% of Bob Stoops' games were victories for the Sooners. He was 9-9.
That's out of control.
He was 9-9 in bowl games.
Does anyone have a higher winning percentage in college football?
Oh, yeah. No, there's a couple guys. I think Ara Parseghian, who coached at Notre Dame forever ago, has like an 838 or something crazy like that. But he is way up there. And now here's a cool stat, and I thought this was amazing. And you guys know how much of a nerd I am with numbers.
Hey, what is that? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
It's actually
it was like a
fantastic.
cool thing to play.
Okay. I love that.
Okay, so I want to another question for you guys. How many Big 12 titles do you think Bob Stoops won in his 18 years? If he's winning 80% of his games. So keep in mind, college football, you only got to lose one game to be out of the national title race. So think of
9.
Okay, what's your guess there, buddy?
4.
He won 10 Big 12 titles. Now here's
That's a perfect 80%.
Okay, now here you go. How many games did he lose at home in his entire time in Norman?
Entire time at Oklahoma, how many times?
18 years.
6.
How many?
How many games did he lose?
At home as a coach of Oklahoma.
Oh, at home. I say 2 games.
He lost 9 games in Norman in 18 years, which is a half a loss a year, which is impossible
That's
physically.
Amazing.
However, I want to give you this. I just quoted a stat that he won more Big 12 titles than he lost games at home in an 18-year career. That is a phenomenal career. And everybody keeps talking about, well, why did Stoops retire?
Why did he?
I told you guys at the beginning of the show, from what I've read and what I've researched about this topic, I feel that the reason that Bob Stoops left is because he's going out on top. His time has not been compromised at Oklahoma. And you know what? The man's made plenty of money. He's 56 years old. He's been at it for a long time. And you know what? He rode off into the sunset, and his legacy will be very hard for anybody to match in any time at Oklahoma.
Well, Big
Anywhere.
Mike, Andy seems to disagree with you. He seems to think it has a lot to do with the mixing situation.
And you know what?
Reason why he stepped down.
Okay, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to completely refute that because of 2 reasons. One, because of the fact that Bob Stoops was in good standing. He did not have a reason to leave. The Joe Mixon case, he punished Joe Mixon. People forget. Joe Mixon was suspended for a year, and he had to stay on a higher level of integrity than the rest of his teammates the entire time he was at Oklahoma. I'm not going to sit there and say that Stoops got pushed by anybody. You got an 80% winning. Let me ask you guys a question. How many times do we see an athlete get away with something egregious because they're an athlete? Bob Stoops is not getting pushed out because he punished Joe Mixon.
Ever since high school, right, Big Mike?
There it is. Yes. But no, he didn't get pushed out. And the other thing I'll address to that, Andy, is the fact that if that was indeed the case, Bob Stoops is going to come out and be a lot different in his press conference. He was not remorseful. He was very satisfied with his career. He didn't sound like a man that, was leaving because he had to. He sounded like a man who retired because he wanted to, and there is a big difference in those two. And he's got plenty of money. He lives in Oklahoma. The millions he makes every year. He's probably got a 100-acre ranch and
probably
about 90
owns Oklahoma.
horses. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, that will be our final take on Bob Stoops. We are up against it once again, ladies and gentlemen. And again, all of our wonderful affiliates, obviously NBBA Radio, Power 102.1 FM, in Atlanta and Boston. We're on YouTube and Facebook Live, and then the Roku and TuneIn apps. Search FYI Ministries, FYI Studios in Mission Viejo on a Saturday night. This is Cw&P. We'll see you in 5.
And when you have some time, folks, don't forget to check out CWPNation.com.
Tell me what you think of this song. You got 4 minutes.
It's going down. I said it's going down. It's going down. Time for some action. Hey, I said it's going down. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. Time for some action. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. Time for some action.
Tick tock, tick tock. Watch the time on the broken clock. That's a longer.
Hey, I hope y'all listening to this out here. This is banging so far. Turn it up, Pluto.
All I do is sit and complain. Throw in my life to be paired with praise. 2014, my life forever changed. It was the first time I tried to end my life, man. My location, National Harbor. Contemplating if I should drive in this water. Put on the gas pedal, but the gear was in park. I broke down in tears, God, and I had a heart to heart. Showed me a vision, my mom crying in a casket. Do you really want this? Nah, God, but I need answers. I know you got knocked down, but the count is up to 10. But if you get up, I guarantee that you win. But there's a requirement in me, you trust all things. Put on your armor, cause it's time for some action, man.
It's going down. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. Time for some action. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. Time for some action.
Time for the real. The devil don't like it when you're on the holy field. Watch out for the trap. They really want you killed. He wanna see you dead. Keep pressing for the mark, cause your time is here. Hold on to your dreams, let go all the tears. Be encouraged, my God is real. Wake up and get filled. Put all those guards, you know they ain't real. Woke up this morning with God on my mind. The devil on my line, you know I ain't lying. What you wanna do right, he be on time. I just want a peace of mind. Just give God a piece of your mind. Be on the grind, seek you should find. Live sanctified, walk in divine. Praise the Most High, hallelujah, I cry.
It's going down. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. Time for some action. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. Time for some action.
We need them kingdom walkers, not them kingdom talkers. No holier than thou, no Spider Peter Parkers, no abandoned ship hoppers, no bandwagon droppers. We need them Christ lovers, those enemy stompers. Standing on the living word and trusting only he. It's something about the third. Gave us some real hope as he conquered the grave. We have a choice in life, so I choose to be saved. And that's that new life, unashamed of it. Romans 1:16, man, you gotta love it. I'm out in the public, cause I know my purpose. It's not a game, I hit the floor and face the surface. The power of prayer is real. He doesn't need an agent, he can close the deal. I'm taking action now, foundation solid ground. Even if he moves the ball, there's no Charlie Brown. Yeah.
I said it's going down. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. Time for some action. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. Time for some action. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. I said it's going down. Time for some action. I said it's going down.
I said it's going down. Hey, Mike, it's time for some action.
Is it?
Time for some action.
Very nice. Are you continuing to rap?
Yeah, I really, I don't know if you don't know out there, but I was really
What's
feeling
that? What are you doing?
song.
Are you rapping? Is that rap?
Shout out Blood Related, man. Where can they find that song at, Pluto?
That's a sneak peek. That song isn't even out yet, so I was just throwing it out.
man.
That's after the new Mr. Marshall album Rise that'll be coming out in about 17 days.
For those of you who are
out.
watching on Facebook, I was looking for where that voice came from that Pluto was talking in just a second ago. So I don't know if you were making that noise or if that was just a sound effect or what that was.
I like it when you rap.
Wow. Okay, that was obviously
But
Pluto's
yeah.
natural vocal cords. That was.
Do you know that rap stuff you do?
Oh my
Where you
goodness.
talk real fast with the beat behind it?
that was super exclusive.
I don't know anything about that.
If you're a Christian rapper out there, you happen to be tuning in our show, man, you can contact us, CW&P Nation. Figure out how you can get one of your super exclusive songs featured on the show. We are being listened to by hundreds of thousands across the country and the globe, so it's a good way to get your music heard.
Preach it.
Big Mike, who's our affiliates today, bro?
Well, we have NBBA, which is Not by Bread Alone Radio. Picasso, and obviously Power 102.1 out of Boston and Atlanta. And we appreciate all of our affiliates. We obviously are on Roku and TuneIn, and then obviously Facebook Live and YouTube Live. However you may be listening or watching the show, we definitely appreciate you tuning in tonight. We're getting into a segment that we like to call Deep Dish, and this is the part of the show. Go ahead.
I was going to say our sponsors.
Oh, go ahead.
Up by Whitney, Cloud Crew 417, beautiful gear as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
So, you need anything, let us know. Where we at with the Deep Dish, Mike?
Well, the Deep Dish is the part of the show where we actually explore the Bible, since this is sports from a Christian perspective, and we talk a little bit about a topic each week. And this week I decided to go with sacrifice, and as a former athlete, obviously I don't look like one anymore, but I did.
Sumo wrestler?
Yeah, Thank you very much, and I got the dog.
Why was that perfect?
So well timed.
That was perfect.
I felt like you guys talked about that behind my back.
Me and Pluto are such a dynamic duo.
But that's what it is. Anyway, so I wanted to talk a little bit about sacrifice. And for anyone who's ever been an athlete or just what you do in your professional life every single day, or you're in school or what have you, sacrifice applies to pretty much everybody. I have a friend, Chris Lemoyne, who listens to this show, who is sacrificing right now for his family. He's actually thousands of miles away from them while he supports them. And I give a lot of props to Chris for that, because, that's not a brave decision to make. It's a very hard one to make, to be away from your family for an extended period of time. So shout out to Chris and all the people, and especially our men and women overseas who are defending this country, who are allowing us to have a radio show, and all the people away from their families for any particular reason. To our military, we salute you. Thank you so much for what you do.
And on that note, Big Mike, got to shout out my oldest daughter, Krista. She will be shipping out to go do her duty this next July, coming up July 3rd. She just graduated on Friday. Man, shout out Krista. She's good. She's making that choice to go.
You got a kid going in the military?
Yes, sir.
Dude, congrats. I mean, I didn't know. That's crazy.
Yeah, she's going in.
Where's she going into what?
The Army She's going to be a flight traffic controller, and then she hopes to be a pilot.
Very nice.
Dude.
So, and then when she's done, she wants to be a pilot. And, we got to shout out our producer, Pluto, gave his back in the Navy.
Yes, he did.
So all these people out here on a daily, man, when they walk in the bank, I see them with their hats on from the Korean War. Thank you for your service, sir.
No doubt.
Just on that note of serving the country, we know there's a lot of Christian men out there who make that sacrifice,
and
men and women, for their family, their children every day. Their kids have to move from school to school with them. That's a whole family sacrifice. And we really salute y'all out there, all the armed services family members and the one serving.
No doubt. And our two verses tonight for sacrifice come out of John 15:3, which is, greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for his friend. And Leviticus 14:30, then he shall sacrifice the doves or the young pigeons, such as the person can afford. And those two verses for me are very significant in two ways. One, because before I married my wife and I had my children, not that I know what it meant in John 15:13 to lay down your life and be willing and love somebody more than yourself. And Jesus laid down his life for us on the cross to save us from our sins that he knew we would eventually commit, and which we commit daily. And my thing is this: when I had kids, I finally understood what that meant. Like, it totally made sense to me. Man, my kids, if there is anything that I can do to protect them, or my wife, that's what I'm going to do. And that's and that's when it came into me. It's a lot easier to get in my house than it is to get out of it. But anyway, so with Leviticus 14:30,
can I get an amen?
We talk about sacrificing young pigeons and things, and obviously in the Old Testament, where Leviticus lies, you used to have to make a blood sacrifice to atone for your sins. Jesus coming actually made it possible so that didn't have to happen. Stephen T. Griffin actually points out he's the ultimate sacrifice. That's 100% true. And for the latter part of that verse, which such a person can afford, Christ doesn't care if you're rich or you're poor or what you have. Christ, actually, Jesus pointed out, there was a woman who gave 2 pence in the offering plate in a story, I believe it's in Luke, and went up to the offering plate, gave 2 pence, and there were Pharisees throwing money in the offering plate. And one of the things that Jesus said to the people who were with him was, greater is that woman's gift than those who were throwing money in, the offering plates at the church or whatever they gave offering in at that time. And that verse relates back to me for that, because it doesn't matter how little it is. It doesn't matter if it's 10 cents. It doesn't matter if it's $1,000. Whatever you choose to give to the Lord, give it heartily and give it unto the Lord and for no other reason. And make sure that, like we talked about humbleness last week, you should have been here for that. Basically,
actually, that's why I wasn't here, because that's something you needed, sir.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, but taking away from the comedy of it, one of the things that we talked about with the humbleness is to do things without other people knowing. Yeah. You don't give tithe to be seen. You do it because you can, and you do it because you love the Lord. That's what those verses mean to me.
Yeah, and I really like you said, the latter part of the verse, because which you can afford. You have some pastors out there who put a big emphasis on your tithe and offerings, and the exact amounts.
We won't name names.
They got amounts. They'll tell you, oh, you'll be blessed for 50 days for $500. All this type of weird, off doctrine that really has nothing to do with the scripture. When the Lord knows, so what about the people who don't make $500 to have? They're not going to be blessed for 50 days. The Lord knows exactly what you have and what you're giving. I used to go to a church growing up. I loved him because we were kids, and he would say, if you don't have no money, pull the lint out of your pocket and put it in the offering plate and watch God give you money for next week. And I promise you, people, growing up, it happened. We would earn some money, find some money, and guess what I did? I ran and threw it in the offering. So it's never about the amount. It's always about the heart, just like the story you brought up with the lady with the 2 cents. If somebody who has 2 pennies can give more than what could have potentially been thousands of dollars, in today's time, and Jesus could look and say, this lady gave much more, it's because of where she gave from and how she, like you said, she wasn't giving to be seen. She didn't have her offering in the air, waving it around while walking. She just gave what she had, and it was truly her last. We even see that in Elijah's stories when he went to the widow, and all she had was her last little bit of oil and grain, and she gave it to the prophet, and she had food for her and her child to be sustained. So we see that many times poor people can give what they have and become much more richer, not only physically and financially, but in spirit, where the richness really counts. So on the note of sacrifice, people, you might not have money, but guess what? You got legs, you got a voice. Why don't you sacrifice some time and go talk about Jesus? Well, so there's different ways that you can show your love and your life and sacrifice. Like Big Mike was saying, the way that you support your family every day as working fathers and mothers, and the way you do that sacrifice, you can be tired, you get up to provide for your family. So there's different ways to sacrifice. This is a great topic, great deep dish. I know I do it every day, working 2 jobs these days. And, you're tired, you get home late, you got the bank, you go straight to go driving the food around, stop that at 11 o'clock. You still got to wake up for the bank the next morning. But do it for the love of the family. And, God said the man provide. Adam said, because of Adam, we got to work. So we work.
Thank you, Adam. Anyway, Pluto, anything to add?
No, you guys did a good job.
Well, thank you very much. Always inspired by the Holy Spirit and brought to you by Jesus Christ.
And let me tell you, Mike, this one, I know all the other ones are, but when you were really talking about the scriptures and bringing it up, I felt the Holy Spirit. I'm sure the folks out there felt it, but I know this topic especially has hit me heavy for whatever reason. I can feel his presence with us, and I really appreciate, your sacrifice, because people don't understand that. See, Big Mike can just make up something. He can go research something. He can make himself sound all, deep and philosophical and, I'm a theologian. But this stuff is really coming from his heart. And when you can feel that passion, you can see how what God really wants is for you to convey what he wants for the day. And you're not going to figure that out unless you sacrifice your pride, your ego, whatever makes you think I got to do this. And you say, I'm relying on the Holy Spirit instead. That's just another side note on sacrifice.
Well, very good. Thank you, and I do appreciate the props. One thing that we are going to get into right now is everybody's favorite segment here on Cw&P. And if you are brand new with us, Hebrew, what's that segment that we like to go ahead and call it?
Give me a couple sound effects.
Can we get a sound effect, please?
For what?
Just
sweet and sour.
Thank you. And sweet and sour is the equivalent of a way better looking Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman.
I love that.
So essentially, but I will say you're not quite as pretty as Shannon Sharp. So anyway.
Oh, gross.
Thank you, Pluto. I felt the same way.
So anyway, went from feeling the Holy Spirit to gross. That's a little bit, it's a bit off topic, but that's okay. So anyway, Pluto, we're going to let you go first. I knew it was coming. Pluto, we're going to let you go first.
Okay.
Derek Carr is being rumored to be the first $25 million a year, for those of you who don't know, he's a Raiders fan, $25 million a year quarterback. Are you guys sweet or sour on Derek Carr becoming the first $25 million a year quarterback potentially?
Now, obviously, I don't want to sound like too much of a homer, but
you're allowed to.
Obviously, on this one. But here's one thing. I think he's worth the money. I think he's the future of the Raiders, and I'm totally stoked on him. I went and bought the man's jersey today, so
the jersey is pretty sweet too, folks.
It's freshy fresh. But you know what? Do I think he's worth $25 million? Does that sign that kind of cringes me as a Raider fan?
Many years?
It's not reported how many years, but he will be a $100 million man easily.
Yeah, it's probably 4 to 5.
He's going to probably he'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 or 6 years between 125 and 150 million.
Did they say what's guaranteed?
No, they have not, but it's supposed to exceed Andrew Luck's.
Yikes.
I mean, what does Brady make? What's Brady's?
Brady actually is notorious for taking a lower salary. I think he makes between 11 and 16 a year.
Jeez.
So you're talking about...
that's a lower salary, huh? Let me get
No, wait a minute. I meant as opposed to other NFL quarterbacks.
Well, at least as opposed to $25 million.
I'm not talking about you, Mike.
Chris Lemoyne makes a great point. He's worth it because the market demands it. That's a perfect way to put it.
That's perfect.
Andy thinks there's no way he should have that.
And does
Andy, there's no way you should be talking about anything but wrestling, but we let you on this show.
Here's a good question. Does Beast Mode go to Oakland if there's no car?
Oh, well, of course not.
See? So
wait,
he's a gravity. He's attracting.
So okay, and Chris, he makes 10.9 a year. Okay,
I agree with you on the Andrew Luck too, Chris. Definitely not worth what he's getting.
Okay, so here's how I'm going to look at this. I'm actually sour on Carr getting that amount of money, and I'll tell you why. I'm a huge Carr fan. I'm not smashing the guy at all.
So why should he get paid? Show him the money.
No, show him the money, but show him the money that he's earned. Don't give him $25 million to make a landmark deal just because you're really high on last year when, by the way, he suffered a serious knee injury. I understand. Ankle. Sorry. Basically, here's the thing. The guy just suffered a major injury. You're going to give him $25 million a year. You know that at least 80 to 90 of that's probably going to be guaranteed or somewhere in that range. We'll say between 70 and 90. Because here's what's going to happen. Derek Carr, even though they're riding high, they went 12-4, they're the favorite to win that division, probably second in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl. How many times have we seen projected winners fall flat on their face? Not saying the Raiders would do it. I think the Raiders are a 13-3 team.
But I mean, isn't that a risk whenever you pull out this kind of money?
But here's why I'm sour on it. They gave Joe Flacco $20 million a year.
That was
No. But here's what I'm saying. That should have actually set the market back for quarterbacks, not necessarily sent it forward. I think Carr's worth $20 million. I think he's worth between $17.5 and $20 million a year, and I think what you do is you give him incentives to get him to 25. So if we win the Super Bowl, there's a $2.5 million bonus. If you get us an AFC title, there's $1 million. You can structure his contract to where he's getting paid, but
how much is Tannehill making? They want to know out there, Mike.
Tannehill right now is way overpaid. He's making something around 16 to 17 a year, and Tannehill's not worth that money all day because, and here I'll say it again with the Derek Carr thing, he has not proven that he's worth anywhere near that kind of money. Derek Carr makes less than $2 million a year right now on his rookie deal, so anything for this guy is going to be a raise. So if you technically wanted to do it, you could give him a new contract in a couple of years once he's gotten a little further along and the ankle injury isn't affecting him. I disagree with giving him this kind of money right now, but I'm not saying he's not worth it. What do you think?
Well, I love Pluto got this board out here. I'm definitely going to use it.
Playing match game now.
I am sweet, folks.
I like that.
I'm like, especially, he's a Christian athlete, like Alicia Wessler just pointed out. So even if he's not worth it, maybe he's got amazing favor from the Lord.
Oh, I'm okay with that.
Definitely
I'm not
sweet from that aspect. And to me, even on a physical level, he's definitely worth it. All the same points Pluto was making. He's a great player. He's the quarterback of their future. And you're not going to have beast mode if you don't have Carr at your quarterback spot.
And guys,
for these facts alone, you definitely he's worth the $25 million. Give him his money. Let's make history.
And you know what? I say I'm sour on it because I don't think he's earned it in principle yet. But here's what I will say. It's like I said before. I'm not opposed to it. I just don't think he's there yet to where he's earned the right to earn that much money. But Chris Lemoyne brings up another good point. The market warrants it right this second. So there's a lot of points to be made.
What do you think about Chris's point of paying Tannehill and bubble yum?
Well, actually, for all the winning Ryan Tannehill's done, he should probably get Bubblicious and not Bubble Yum. He's absolutely been he hasn't proven himself as a pro quarterback as far as I'm concerned. Or maybe
just one piece of Trident. That's the smallest piece of
Hey, and I'm not hating on my team's quarterback, but you know what, Tannehill? You got to win something in this league before you get $17 million a year player. At least Joe Flacco's got a ring. As crazy as it is that he beat Tom Brady in New England for an AFC championship. Moving on. So the NFL has a top 100 list, and you boys are aware of this, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So J.J. Watt was ranked number 35 on that list.
Soothing voice?
Sorry.
Wow. Anyway, that was weird. And I know I have a soothing voice. But anyway, so J.J. Watt was ranked 35th on the list, even though he only played 3 games last year. Watt then claimed that the list was a joke. Are you guys sweet or sour on whether this list has any validity? Hebrew, we'll start with you, buddy. Or actually, we'll let you get your whiteboard ready. Pluto, where are you at on this?
You know what? I'm sweet on this, and I'm sweet on J.J. Watt calling himself out on this list, sort of, and saying, I shouldn't have been on this list because I only played 3 games. How am I going to be? I like that about him. And obviously, we're talking about a dude who is a monster.
A beast by every stretch.
I mean, pick 2 other guys in his position who can do what he can do. So he can't. So in a sense, they're correct. We all know that they're correct. We all know that Watt would be up there. But I like the fact that he kind of called himself, or not himself, but at least he stated that he shouldn't be on the list because he just didn't play enough games. I like that. I like that drive. I like that kind of hunger. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not ready.
He's not artificial.
Yeah, and he's not. He's not. Acting like he's arrived. He thinks he's got more to do. He's still hungry. So I like that. So I am sweet on him saying that it wasn't a good list.
Go ahead, Hebrew. What you got, man?
I actually didn't even need to erase the clipboard. That was pretty silly. So I am absolutely sweet on J.J. Watt's comments. It's supposed to be the 100 best players from the previous year. And yeah, you're ranking players very high on the list who didn't even play any, good minutes for the last season. Doesn't make any sense. It must just, it's just 100 most popular players. I mean, if they would have said that, it makes sense. So if that's what they're going for as a name game contest, go with it. But I definitely agree with J.J. Watt. Totally sweet on his comments. And like Pluto said, I admire his, his honesty, his transparency, and it speaks to, the topic from last week of humbleness. So it's a good example on many levels.
And I'll say this. I'm actually sweet on this 2 ways. Number one, I'm sweet and sour. I know that's kind of contradictory, but I'll explain.
Wow.
I'm sweet on J.J. Watt calling this.
Do we need to get an egg roll for this?
Well, actually, that sounds pretty good. But the way that I'm going to phrase it is this. I'm sweet on J.J. Watt criticizing this list because it's a joke. It's absolutely ridiculous, and that's what I'm sour on. All this list is a time filler for the NFL Network. Right. This list does not exist if the NFL Network doesn't exist. Now,
but
at the
same time, though, there's people watching the NFL Network.
I understand, but here's what I'm going to say about it, though, is It's only the players ranking each other. So if the players think that there is, 35th best player in the league is J.J. Watt on 3 games, then that's a player's opinion. It's not one player's opinion. It's not just the Houston Texans. It's the entire NFL. But I get J.J. Watt's point, and that's why I'm sweet on it, because this list, if you only play 3 games, there's no way you can be the 35th best player in your sport.
It's a popularity contest.
Well, and that's pretty much what it is.
True.
But
Are we voting for prom king and queen here?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. At least not the last time I checked. One more, Pluto, or are we up against a break?
You got time.
Okay, cool. So this is awesome. So y'all, does anybody?
Somebody's break happy today, Pluto.
No, I'm just asking.
No, we're just following the rules.
Yeah, I'm
following the
rules.
schedule.
Yeah. You might want to try it sometime. But anyway, so Lonzo Ball. Does everybody know who Lonzo Ball is in the studio? Does anybody? I've heard of LeVar, but I've never heard of Lonzo. I don't think he talks. Like, has anybody actually?
Is that the other brother that?
Speaking on that, I saw an awesome interview that he's doing with Kenny the Jet Smith. I want to say.
Yeah, sure.
And they were in his backyard, and the kid was talking, and it was just about 5 2-minute clip.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you said that because I actually like the kid. I like how he talks. I like where he was coming from. I like
what's up, Jeremy Fardy?
Where he's like looks like he's in a good place mentally, and it speaks to the point of what we were making on this show. LeVar Ball is doing such a bad job in the media. We don't even really know his kids' personalities, like you said. But just for that little clip, I'm interested to see, the whole interview. And I'm like, this kid is actually likable.
Right.
He's not anything like his father. I don't even know where. I guess he has his mom's personality because we haven't really seen much from her. But the kid is actually likable, and that's just a side note. I can't wait to see the special they did.
Who, me?
But LeVar Ball needs to stop because he's hurting the opinion that you're going to have of his children, who don't even seem to act as crazy as he does.
Well, fair enough. And the question is, Lonzo tried out this week for the Lakers, and it was very highly publicized. I've never seen a draft workout get so much publicity in my whole life. And he was notably not wearing the Zoe 2s in the pictures of the workout. He was wearing James Harden's Adidas shoe. And my thing is he's not even wearing his signature shoe at this point. And this is and I'm going to start on this.
And what happened to the Zoe 1s? How did he get straight to Zoe 2?
I have no idea. I think LeVar tried to release his own shoe when he was trying out for the Jets, and it failed epically, so he just went to 2.
Those should be the VAR ones.
And here's my thing. So he's not rocking his signature.
Compute, Pluto.
He's not rocking his signature shoe. And I had a couple people on Facebook tell me, well, it doesn't come out until November. To those people, I respect your opinion, but I got to ask you a question. You really think Jordan hasn't seen his shoes a year before they come out? If he had a real distributor of footwear, not his father in the garage with a sewing kit, then he might actually
Elmer's glue,
might actually. You know what his dad's probably doing? He's probably pulling a Chris Paul. Oh, look, I nailed the treehouse and it falls through the garage. That's exactly what I think of when I think of LeVar Ball putting together shoes.
Instead of using proper materials to put them together, he's just using used bubble yum.
And here's my thing. The same they're paying Ryan Tannehill, apparently. But this is my thing.
So is Ryan Tannehill the investor?
I guess so. But he's got the money, obviously. But my thing is this with Lonzo. He's a good kid. He seems like he's really got a good head on his shoulders. But where I have a problem with this is his father is hyping this shoe so much, and you're literally charging $495 for a regular pair, $1,000 for a signed pair by Lonzo. So you're basically charging between $500 and $1,000 for shoes that your kid isn't even wearing at his pro workout for the team that you want him to go to in the Los Angeles Lakers. This is the worst marketing I've ever seen in my life.
Definitely.
This is like Michael Jordan walking out wearing a pair of Kobe's in the All-Star game. That's exactly what this looks like. And you know what? It is no fault of Lonzo's, but his father has made a cluster for this guy, and I feel really bad for him.
Yeah, and on that note, got my trusty dusty board back. I am so sour on Zoe not wearing his shoes. But I guess, I don't know. They obviously don't have any, and like Big Mike said, if you got shoes coming out, you should at least have a sample. And the sample should be in Zoe's size, Lonzo, so that he can wear them and play them. the workout was so publicized, like Big Mike was saying, that if you got this many eyes on your player at the time and he's supposed to be the player that's going to change the game and you got this big baller brand you're trying to push, why are you not having the marquee product on the player's feet during the time where the most eyes are on the player actually playing basketball? So this makes no sense from a business point of view unless you really do not have a shoe. Are you making your shoes in the garage with Elmer's glue? They can't stay together. That's why you got to use a case when you're going on. People want to touch them. Oh, you can't touch these because I ain't even touched them. No, if you touch them, they're going to fall apart, brother. That's why you can't touch them. You know what I'm trying to say?
I'm done.
That's really what the bar ball needs to say. If you touch these, MC Hammer said can't touch this, but, his shoes wasn't going to fall apart.
How priceless would it have been if he had wore the Hardens and they had sawed holes in them so they fell apart and he brought out the Zo2s in a box and had gone, here you go, son, here's a real pair of shoes.
Now that would have been a great marketing ploy. He could have put on some of those he could have put on some 13 Jordans. He could have been like, look, these shoes broke, put on the Zo2s. And if you're going
Hey, LeVar, if you do that, I want half.
And why are you going to wear a James Harden shoe when he's just notorious for being a turnover king right now? You should have wore a Kobe Bryant. Why are you not wearing Kobe Bryant shoes? You're trying out for the Lakers. Throw on some Kobe's. Makes more sense to me. I mean, you got some Jordans you could ride. You could throw on some Steph Curry's. I'm not wearing no James Hardens when he had a horrible playoffs on top of it. So I'm so sour, as you can see. LeVar Ball, you need to stop getting in your kid's way because I feel like you're harming something that the kid might actually be a great ball player. To me, he already has a good personality, like I said. So let the boy be who he is. Let your two sons be who they are. Please take several seats back and do what you got to do.
All right, well, fair enough. Well,
what about Pluto? We need to know if he's sweet or sour.
Pluto, we just need to know if you're sweet or sour on this, pal.
Sour. Anything ball is sour.
Okay. See, that's what LeVar
Ball
did.
equals sour.
That's what you did to your name, sir. Please step out the way and let your kids redeem your name.
So anyway, well, people,
that's a good point.
People, we are up against it, and we will be heading to our final station break of the evening. We're going to come back for our final segment with a little more sweet and sour again. Thank you to everybody who's watching and listening to us, whether that's on Roku, TuneIn, YouTube, Facebook. Those are live feeds, by the way. Or Not by Bread Alone and Power 102.1 FM in Atlanta and Boston. We are Cw&P. You are here with us in Mission Viejo on a Saturday night. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, family.
We have come here because we share a common concern for the moral health of our nation.
Wow, we're rolling today, man.
We have come because our eyes have seen through the superficial glory and glitter of our society and observed the coming of judgment.
Yeah. It's never ending.
Yeah.
From the beginning, they say the church stay separate. No
showed up. That's what happened.
So forbidden, but keeping peace is like Christians dying left and right. But word is it's random killings. They bomb our twin towers. We go and catch their leader. We switch our presidents and now we so Justin Bieber. All talk, no action. Flashlight, lack of power, like dead batteries and flashlights. When we gon' pay attention? We are a Christian nation built on Bible standards. Proclaim a declaration. Inviting judgment, we're not the standard God is. No matter what you're thinking, there's no weight in your logic. Foolish humans, I urge you read Matthew 24. We're on the cusp of exclamation, damn before the Lord. We on the tip of revelation that was known before. Jesus didn't come to bring peace, he came to bring a sword. Let's start a movement, modern day MLKs. Where are the fearless leaders? This is an outrage. Who's gonna stand up for the people, by the people, great in the image of God? Yes, we're all equal. Who's gonna stand up? Modern day MLKs. Who's gonna stand up? Modern day MLKs. Who's gonna stand up? Modern day MLKs. Who's gonna stand up? Yeah. Who's gonna stand up?
Pardon the interruption. Galatians 1:10. Who you think you pleasing? Calling all men. Stop standing around while future sin. They need a role model. Let's bring it to an end. Yo, turn the TV off and go and read the book. The enemy is stealing souls, such a crook. Check the numbers this passing, a no look. Rodney King, Sean Bell, Trayvon, it's off the hook. And that's just real talk. I pray you're not offended. Don't shoot the messenger, I shared the word, you try to bend it. Till it fits your life, regardless of the truth. They opened up the tomb, then that's just living proof. Cause on the third day, he rose up to glory. The blood that he shed gave us all a story. Sometimes it's hard to believe he paid it all for me, so I can live my next life in his territory.
Let's start a movement, modern day MLKs. Where are the fittest leaders? This is an outrage. Who's gonna stand up for the people, by the people? Created in the image of God, yes, we're all equal. Who's gonna stand up, modern day MLKs? Who's gonna stand up, modern day MLKs? Who's gonna stand up, modern day MLKs? Who's gonna stand up? Who's gonna stand up?
Martin had a dream, I got one too. That there won't be so much hatred and killing on the news. Youngins are dying and it's not just by the poison blue. Man, we're killing ourselves, come on, there's no excuse. It's time to make a difference, there's so much work to do. Gotta hit the blocks, get up on the pews. Man, you waiting on God, he's waiting on you. He's waiting on me too, homie, I'm not excused. It's time we really put our money where our mouth is. And there's some work to the faith, if we don't, it's dead. Dissension in the church has put away our differences. If there's no outward change, tell me what the point is. Time for some action, enough for the slacking. Bible is the weapon, homie, time to start packing. Made in the image of a holy, righteous king. If we don't stand for something, though, we're for anything, for real.
Let's start a movement, modern day MLKs. Where are the fittest leaders? This is an outrage. Who's gonna stand up for the people, by the people? Created in the image of God, yes, we're all equal. Who's gonna stand up, modern day MLKs? Who's gonna stand up, modern day MLKs? Who's gonna stand up, modern day MLKs? Who's gonna stand up? Who's gonna stand up?
We say to our nation tonight, we say to our government, we even say to our FBI, we will not be harassed. We will not make a butchery of our conscience. We will not be intimidated, and we will be heard.
Welcome back, everybody, to Cw&P on a Saturday night. We are live from Mission Viejo, California. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking us out tonight, whether that's on Facebook, YouTube, NBBA Radio, Not by Bread Alone, obviously. It is on Power 102.1 out of Atlanta and Boston. Or if you're just tuning in on the TuneIn app or Roku, we appreciate you no matter how you're listening and where that might be. And we are in our final segment, which is unfortunate because we have had a fantastic show to this point. And we want to shout out Alicia Wexler, Jeremy Farding, Stephen T. Griffin, Chris Lemoyne, Andy Raven, all the wonderful people who make this show possible. And, of course, you listening at home or at work. Hopefully you're listening at work and not being bored or what have you. We definitely appreciate everybody tuning in. And we also appreciate all of our affiliates across the world who are carrying this show right now, the hundreds of thousands of people that listen to this show and take the time on a Saturday night. We definitely appreciate you guys, so thank you so much. One thing I wanted to address real quick, Jeremy Farding, who is a contributor and who brought this up right before, we're going to finish Sweet and Sour in a second. Jeremy brought up a point that, LeVar Ball, as loud as he's been, he has 3 sons that have all gone to school on D1 scholarships and who have definitely, been successful to this point in their lives. And I personally want to state this. I don't have a problem with any of that. I have a problem with the fact that he's disrespectful to women on television and on radio. I have a problem with him speaking out in a racist fashion against 3 of his son's teammates. I have a problem with the fact that this guy gets on television and he's given a platform, which is unfortunate in the first place, and comes out and acts like an arrogant jerk because it's getting him ratings. What he does for his kids and the fact they're all going to D1 schools, and that's the thing. I'm totally fine with that. I hope they all do well in the NBA, but I don't agree with the man's actions, period. That's just, it's just a fact. And,
and Mike, you do speak for all of us over here at CWP Nation. We weren't talking about him on a personal level at all. I'm not even sure why. I don't know if that's what you thought we were doing, but we were not talking about him on a personal level, totally from a standpoint of how he's marketing or mismarketing his sons, who obviously have good talent. They all are, UCLA took them all. we just, we're speaking on the fact that you have a son that you're selling as but he's an unproven talent, and it seems like you're full of a lot of hot air. But we were not talking about Mr. Ball on a personal level at all. He did a great job raising his kids along with his wife. Shout out Mrs. Ball. So, that wasn't where we were coming from at all.
No, and we don't want there to be any misnomers about this show either. We're not here attacking the man personally. I just feel like
don't know him personally.
I feel like his actions on the Colin Cowherd show and just different things he has said, and how boisterous he's been on
very
certain topics.
Inappropriate.
Yeah, I just don't agree with it. So that's where we were coming from. Never a personal attack, but just the fact that it kind of feels that way. So anyway. We wanted to go ahead and respond to the next thing, and this is very interesting. And I know we don't have a ton of boxing fans on the show, but I know there are some, and Hebrew and I are definitely two of them. So apparently Floyd Mayweather decided to come out and make the statement that he actually was greater than Muhammad Ali. Now, obviously, that's a very bogus statement, and there's no way.
That's even worse than what LeVar Ball says, Big Mike.
There's no way that that's true. But here's what I'm saying. Mike Tyson probably spoke for all of us when he said, and I quote, Mayweather is a small, scared man, and he is delusional. If he wanted to be great, greatness is people accepting you, not guarding yourself from people. If you don't know, Floyd Mayweather rolls with a huge posse, mostly bodyguards. And he said also, if you were a real man, you would take your son to school by yourself. Obviously, we're going if we're sweet or sour on Tyson's comments. I'm going first. I'm 100% sweet. I think that Floyd Mayweather has made so much money, it's made him delusional, and he's obviously not spending any of the money on psychiatrists. Because to say that you're greater than Muhammad Ali
delusional
is a joke. Like, that can't even be considered an actual statement of any kind of fact, opinion, or what have you, because it's simply not true. And the guy who they asked about it in Iron Mike was 10 times the boxer that Floyd would ever even think of being. And furthermore, Floyd Mayweather was a scared dude. He ran from big fights. He didn't participate in the super fight. He fought Manny Pacquiao 6 years after he should have. And Ali never backed down from a challenge. It's well documented he should have never been in the ring against Larry Holmes because of his health problems that they diagnosed him with at the Mayo Clinic. However, he continued. He fought Larry Holmes. He lost, but he still went in and took the challenge. Floyd ran away from a bunch of super fights and from guys he could have lost to. That's why he's got a 49-0 record, and the only person he's considering fighting now is a UFC fighter instead of Triple G or Canelo Alvarez. So my thing
Errol
is...
Spence, for that matter.
Well, yeah, exactly. So here's my thing. If Floyd wants to be put with the greats, you got to have great fights. And unfortunately, Floyd ran from most of them. And to be honest with you, Floyd's completely delusional. I'm sweet on it, and I hope him and Mike Tyson get in the ring soon.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with Big Mike, Jeremy Fardig, and Steven Griffith out there. We all are unanimous on this one. Sweet on Mike Tyson's comments. I love the way he phrased all his comments. I love the way he said it. It's really crazy for Mayweather, who I actually respected, even though a lot of people don't. I loved his talent. I love how he, carried his career. He obviously was a great businessman throughout his whole career. But this one right here really drops, Mayweather a couple notches in my book. That's crazy, ludicrous, delusional, even worse than what LeVar Ball says on a daily, weekly basis. We're talking about Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay.
To interject, isn't his nickname The Greatest?
The Greatest.
Yeah, so that's his nickname.
I still see 5-year-old kids wearing Ali
acronym.
shirts. I mean, this is a talent that has crossed generations, and people know about him who never will be able to see his great fights. I know about him without having to see his fights, only on recordings. I mean, when you look at Muhammad Ali, there's no comparison to a boxer. Same thing as like the Michael Jordan comparisons. People stop. Mayweather, you're crazy. You are a little guy. I mean, it's totally different being a heavyweight in the boxing ring to where you're just welterweight, middleweight, all these little small weights. Much easier to navigate than when you're in there with big 300-pound men every day. Mike Tyson, who could challenge Ali for maybe the greatest fighter of all time just by the fights he put on, still wouldn't even be so disrespectful to challenge the greatest of all time, the great Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. So sour on the comments Mayweather made, man. It's I don't know what you're thinking, dude, man. Maybe you got to, too much money. That's the first thing I said when Big Mike brought it up. That's what too much money will do to your brain, people.
And I want to address something just real quick. We talk about Jordan as the GOAT all the time. Muhammad Ali is unquestionably the greatest fighter that we have ever seen. Now, the one fight that I would have loved to have seen, if we want to talk hypotheticals, would have been him against Mike Tyson, both in their prime, because I would have loved to have seen what that fight would have looked like. Obviously, we'll never get that. But my point is this. For Floyd Mayweather to come out and look, Mike Tyson is defending Ali, and he's as he should, and not to mention the fact that Mike Tyson is 100 times the fighter. Like, Mike Tyson never backed off of a fight. He never.
Iron Mike.
And Iron Mike used to. What was his average knockout his first 30-something fights? Wasn't it like
it was
within
30
the
seconds?
Yeah, I mean, it was literally like a minute and 30 or something.
He was knocking
stupid.
people out in 30 seconds.
Well, that's exactly my point.
You pay your back there. You pay your $40, $50 for a pay-per-view fight, and you don't even get to watch the fight for 20 seconds.
Shout out to Jeremy Farting though. I love the fact he brought up Joe Louis. That's a guy nobody talks about. Joe Louis, great fighter. A lot of newer kids don't know who Joe Louis is.
Way better than Mayweather, too.
Go look up Joe Louis. Shout out to Jeremy. That is a fantastic suggestion. I absolutely love it. Pluto, where are you at on this, buddy?
Sorry about that.
Turn your mic on.
You know what? I was watching that same the same clip where Tyson was responding to Mayweather. He goes on because the guy who's interviewing him says, well, how about Tyson and Ali? And Tyson gave one of the, and normally we don't
associate him with
great answers and elocution. But you know what? He had a great answer. He talked about how, he took a little jab at Ali about how he wasn't very defensive, that his footwork was what got him out of trouble.
Well, that's very true.
But he straight out said there is no way I'd be able to beat Ali. He would give him. Now I don't agree with that. I think if Tyson makes contact with Ali's jaw, we've all seen it.
It's a devastating.
If he hits a dinosaur in the mouth, it's gonna go down. Dude, So I don't.
The funny thing about it, I believe it.
Really,
Triceratops running full
right down,
speed.
down.
Iron Mike. Good night.
But
did you really just make
as Chewbacca or a T-Rex, one of the two?
Okay, we'll take the T-Rex.
Anyway, so I am sour on Mayweather, but I'm sweet on Mike Tyson. He turned that around and he took a good opportunity to show some intelligence and give someone some props. So
he paid reverence to a guy who, again, his nickname is the greatest. Like, I don't really understand how Floyd even thought for 2 seconds that he was half the fighter Ali will ever be. Anyway, I think we're all in unison on that. And again, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Cw&P. We are down to our last 10 minutes here. But Hebrew, we know that in your NBA top 5, you have Tracy McGrady at your small forward position. And I would be remiss if I didn't actually bring up an interesting comment he made in the MJ versus LeBron James discussion for best player. He said, I think if you want to start a team, you're going to go with LeBron because of him being able to take lesser talent and evaluate those guys. Because of his pass-first mentality, being able to evaluate his team in terms of their style of play. T-Mac also threw some shade MJ's way. While crediting the teammates' first mindset of LeBron James, he said Mike is out there trying to score 30 to 40 points a night. He is not trying to make his team better. Pluto, are you sweet or sour on T-Mac's comments?
I am sour on T-Mac. Like, dude, give MJ a little respect there. You know what? I don't think MJ's mindset was I'm going out here to score 40 points. He never seemed like a.
He did score 30 a night, though.
No, I did, but I understand that. But I'm saying I didn't see MJ as a stat grabber. He wasn't, he wasn't out there.
That's a good point, yeah.
He wasn't out there to pad stats. He was out there to win. He was really good at it, and he was out there to win. I think for McGrady to put himself in someone's mindset like that, especially the guy who if you're a basketball player, you're looking up to that dude. I think it's sour grapes, and I think
well, and I
you could have chosen better words.
And I got to go with sour on it too. Here's why: Michael Jordan's the greatest player of this generation that we have ever seen. There's a lot of arguments for other players in other generations, but we talked earlier very heatedly about the fact you can't compare eras in basketball. So we're not going to, but I'm going to say this. Jordan, the game came so naturally to him, he wasn't a stat grabber. There was a time in 1988 where Michael Jordan had 8 consecutive triple-doubles. He might have had a few more than that, but I remember 8 being the number. Michael Jordan was very underrated for how good of a basketball player he was. It's hard to say Michael Jordan's underrated, but this is why I put it that way. Because MJ was never thought of a great passer. He was never thought as a guy who was this great all-around, could do anything player. However, here's what Michael Jordan was. He was the smartest player on the court every second he was there. And I'm not saying LeBron is stupid by any means. Absolutely not. The man's averaging a triple-double in the NBA Finals right now. But here's my thing. Michael Jordan passed to teammates to win championships. John Paxson iced 2 titles for Jordan. Steve Kerr in 90, when they were playing the Lakers at the Forum, Paxson hit the 3 to put it out of reach, and he beat my Phoenix Suns in Game 6 by 1 when Paxson hit a 3 off the right corner. Still gives me nightmares. But here's my point. Michael Jordan was a brilliant player all the way around. To not take Michael Jordan would be basically like doing what the Trailblazers did a second time in 1984. You're passing on the guy who literally is the greatest player of an entire 40-year set of NBA basketball. And I don't think you can sit there and pass on a guy like that. Unfortunately, we can't say that about LeBron necessarily. I get Tracy McGrady's point, but if you passed on MJ, you'd be laughed at for the rest of your life, and you'd get fired as a GM in 2 seconds. Go ahead, Hebrew. I already know what you're going to say.
Definitely sour. Pretty simple on that one. We're talking about MJ, Michael Jordan, his airness, flight. You know, you see his logo on so many different shoes and clothes everywhere. Great basketball player. And T-Mac's comments about LeBron wanting to be, you know, incorporating other players more is actually one of LeBron's biggest flaws and why he is not a Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan did not ignore his teammates or neglect them. He just, like Big Mike was saying, he trusted his teammates a lot. Steve Kerr, Paxton hitting shots he could have took and missed, like you see superstars do today that refuse not to give up the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Well, LeBron James' pass-first mentality has really made him a step down because of the fact that he's not as aggressive as he should be. Michael Jordan played with so much passion and so much confidence that there was no way that he was going to just pass up an easy bucket and make his guys struggle for something he knew he could do. So Michael Jordan chose to put the team on his back and do what he knew the other players just didn't have the physical and gifted to do. It's what me and Big Mike were talking about on the way up about Kyrie Irving. The way that he finishes shots, they look impossible. But that's nothing you could teach. It's something that was given by God. It's a great talent. So if Kyrie Irving gives the ball to somebody else, which we see LeBron do throughout this playoffs, which has cost a few losses, he's deep in the paint. Instead of laying up or dunking the ball, he's passing the ball out. Now, why are you doing that when you have the highest percentage shot? And this speaks to intelligence, like you were saying. Like, if you were smarter, we take the high percentage shot. You know you're going to make it. You know they can't stop you. Get the shot. Make the defense focus on you, and that's when your role players start playing. And that's what we saw with the Bulls. They didn't have a lot of superstars. They had a lot of role players that knew their roles. Michael Jordan did his role, which is to draw all the defense to him so his role players could do their job. So even T-Mac's reason is totally off. I don't know if he didn't watch Michael Jordan growing up. I don't know if he's a hater because people call him the GOAT sometimes when it's really Michael Jordan. I really don't understand it, but, you know, long story short, Michael Jordan is the best basketball player, and even generationally, people can speak to that fact because he played against some of the older generation and into the new generation. So the guy is great. Tracy McGrady, you're crazy. Please come again. LeBron James, is he paying you? Are you the chapter of the fan club of your city? Sour. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, I got
communication
confused.
breakdown.
Sorry. But anyway, I wanted to go to one of your points. The reason Michael Jordan's considered the greatest of all time, a lot of people are debating that right now. Let me make it real simple for you. And this is not a number that I condone on this show, but I have to use it. I apologize. 666. I'm not using that for the determination of those of you who are listening to this from a biblical perspective. I'm doing it this way. 6 rings, 6 tries, 6 finals MVPs. That's the reason he's the GOAT. That is the reason he's the greatest of all time. Kareem can't say it. Magic can't say it. Bird can't say it. LeBron can't say it. Tim Duncan can't say it, although Tim Duncan was close. Kobe can't say it. Shaq can't say it. You can go down the list. They all lost in the finals at some point. Michael Jordan never did.
If he gets there, it's a done deal.
And here's the thing. One of our Facebook, I wish I had remembered the gentleman's name who said it. On one of our shares, we shared Showtime Lakers, the 96 Bulls, and this year's Warriors, who you got.
Showtime.
The guy put it in an amazing way. Look at the picture with Jordan. Look at the picture with the Warriors, and look at the Showtime Lakers. Jordan literally has him, Pippen, and a bunch of role players, and the other two teams are stacked with Hall of Famers. That, to me, signifies why Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player to ever step foot on this earth.
Hey,
Does that mean LeBron is following in his footsteps?
Hey, you know what I mean?
You can't put LeBron into a category where the goose egg is in the loss column.
Well, I'm talking about from the point of having guys around him who really aren't, who are role players who are not.
LeBron James got Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving.
Then
in Miami he had D Wade and Chris Bosh, and before that he couldn't make it to the finals he lost in the finals. LeBron James that's what people forget about Michael Jordan, and even like I say, Scottie Pippen, great player. Jordan was good, but he still is a role player himself. So you can't even really count him as a superstar.
As usual, Jeremy Farding's got an excellent point. What about Bill Russell, who's got 11 rings in 13 years? Where does he get put in the annals of the NBA greats? I mean, obviously, Russell, in terms of titles, there's nobody better.
Well, Michael's one, and Bill Russell got to be two.
Yeah, and I would, to this extent, I'll say, Michael Jordan's the greatest player I've ever seen. If you want to make a case for Bill Russell, I'm not going to argue with you. But in my criteria and for what I saw Michael Jordan do, there's nobody that's ever going to replace that at any point in NBA history.
Hands down, it's unanimous. Michael Jordan over anybody, especially LeBron James. And, folks, we've reached that time of the show that we all don't like, but we will be back in 2 weeks. Actually, we're taking a bye week out of our Father's Day, a couple birthday celebrations going on. But, if you're listening to us for the first time, you might not be a Christian. Really easy to become a Christian. So go ahead and accept the Lord as, Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior of life. Believe he died, rose, came here for you. Everything he sacrificed and laid down for you. Believe that in your heart. Make that public confession. And as always, God bless you and all of your families. We thank you for the support. We're nothing without the fans, the views, the listeners, the watch, the likes, the comments. We thank you for them all. So for me, Big Mike, Pluto, we're signing out. We'll see you in 2 weeks, people. Y'all have a great 2 weeks. Anything you want to add to that, Mike?
No, just, again, thank you to all our fans, contributors on Facebook, all of our affiliates, Not by Bread Alone, Power 102, Facebook, Roku, YouTube, and the TuneIn app, and obviously producer Project Pluto. Good night, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks. This is Cw&P.
Peace.
I love you. I love you.